Wonderful. All right, well, hello and welcome, friends, to another episode of Talk Power BI. Aren't we all glad it's Friday? So we're here for a special episode. Today is the dashboard makeover. Now, this is the second time we're doing it. The first time was really good, but I'll admit it was a bit of a surprise. Actually, it was, I don't know what to expect. I had this idea for a long time. I'm glad I finally did it. And I couldn't wait to get back on again. And thank you to those folks who submitted their entry for the dashboard makeover. And so we're happy for that. So I'm going to check in with everybody who's joining us online. Say hello to me. By the way, hi, I'm Avi. I'm from Seattle. And let me know where you're joining us from and your name, of course. Love to hear that. So hello and welcome to everybody. And so today is going to be kind of the dashboard makeover. So I'm going to check on the chat in a second here. All right, I see Sheikh is here. Hello, Sheikh. How are you doing? And we have friends from our Learn Power BI community as well. They are on the phone. So we have Matt, Andre, Bill, Charles, Kevin, Thomas, and I'm not sure what the last name is. It looks like a handle. I'm not actually sure if you can. You can. If you can rename that WeQueros, if you can put your name in there, that'd be great. Or you can be WeQueros. That's okay. I'm cool with that. All right. So hellos are rolling in. Matthew Miller is here from Fort Worth, Texas. Walter says hi. Hello, Walter. Walter is also not only a member in our Learn Power BI program, but also participant in a real Power BI project. And Walter, man, I'm excited to hear what you guys have been up to. Nancy says hi. And yeah, she did fix her name. I was always getting stumped on her YouTube handle name. Amdi says hello from Denmark. I think Amdi is a Learn Power BI member as well. We haven't spoken in a while, Amdi. Good to have you on. Lorna Ray says good morning from Kenmore, Washington. All right. Hello from Tokyo. And I can't pronounce the name, but I do apologize for last time. I felt so dumb. I was talking to my son later, so I saw the hello from Tokyo, and I think I said arigato, which of course means thank you. I still haven't learned how to say hello in Japanese, so maybe you can teach me, or somebody else can. Leaf says hi from Arkansas, and hi from Barcelona. Isidro, good to have you on. Bosch from Toronto, Kevin from Virginia, and Alex from France. Oh boy, from Bay of Fundy, Nova Scotia. Frank is here, Estonia. Paul, from Nancy from Lansing, Michigan. All right, folks. So awesome. So let me talk about the dashboard makeover a little bit. So I love under the hood stuff, right? So actually, I have one announcement to make as well. So this is for the students. So folks, if you are in my program, then the premise of the program is to give you the core 20% that gives you the 80% of the results. And I stand behind that. I mean, students have had amazing success with that. In fact, some folks who are just hungry for more, I mean, they bring me their problems, their questions, and I realize that they have never understood the concept. So Charles, who's on the call as well, he kind of always surprises me. I mean, he mentioned, I think yesterday when we were talking, or some other day, he mentioned that how he has gone through the course multiple times, maybe even 4 or 5 times, and how each time he understood something more, got deeper. And I'm not saying you need to do that, but what I'm saying is the concepts are important, and you do need to kind of internalize them. And of course, that's the other premise of our main course, that learning is by doing. So we emphasize that when the lessons is just lesson, you're not going to internalize it and really learn it until you apply it. And you get stuck and get help, right? So that's the main course. And again, folks have had amazing results for this. And again, sometimes people are like, oh, I just want to figure out this DAX thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, but look at your model, it sucks, or something like that, right? So that's our main course. But there's the rest of the journey as well. And students kept coming back to me. It's like, Avi, this is great, man, love it. But what about the rest of the journey? And so we created this some time ago, but this hadn't gotten much love from me, which was my bad, totally my bad. And I now refer to it as the crying Talk Power BI episode, which doesn't say much because there have been quite a few of those. But this one was, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, where I broke down in tears and bawled about it, and imposter syndrome and that stuff. So my own mind blocks were stopping me from kind of serving you. But I'm back, and as I promised, it's not that my fears, my syndrome, whatever, is going to go away. Those always stay with you, by the way. Fear is my friend. But I'm not going to let that get in my way of serving you, because it's not about me, it's about you. So the pro level enrollment is opening Monday. And man, we are super duper excited. The way we're imagining pro level now, I had never dared to think of it that way. Just because, I mean, I don't know. I felt that, hey, who am I to be doing this, right? That kind of stuff. So yeah, we're excited about that, and what we're most excited about is that we want to go on this journey together. So we are really focused on kind of making this kind of tailored learning where we have a lot of ideas, but we want to let the students guide us. In creating the content. So that is pro level. By the way, for those who know or care, we also have another level. We call it Pro Plus. The full name is Six Figures Power BI Consultant, and we have an amazing group of people. You met and know a lot of them are going through the program, and boy, I'm in awe of these individuals. They are inspiring me. They're teaching me new things. So Six Figures Power BI Consultant, and that program is beyond Power BI. So in the program itself, there's no Power BI. We go beyond that. How do you use that to build a successful career as a consultant? And that's been pretty phenomenal. That one is, what's coming next is that they're going to be presenting their real Power BI project finales, I think next week. Yes, next week. And of course, we're planning a new enrollment in January 2020. All right, so that's all kind of the news for me. So let's get back to Dashboard Makeover, and the idea behind this is in my course I kind of focus on the core 20%, and I believe in that it's the model. You got to get it right. If you get that right, then everything else becomes easier. But visualization is important. I never said that it's not important. In fact, I have to acknowledge, and everybody needs to understand, that visualization is often the only thing that the end users see, and therefore for them that's what Power BI is, and you can't blame them for that, right? So, and of course we had this thing initially because I emphasized so much of under the hood stuff that some kind of members they try to take that messaging out as well. But your audience is different. You're catering to end users. My audience is you. My audience is the Power BI authors, right? So I'm talking to a different audience. You can't talk the same way, right? So you dashboard is important, but I would bet that a lot of dashboards are not created by design. They're created by accident, right? Where people don't understand. They've never read, learned, maybe even they were not even aware, right? I mean, that visualization principles, and they just put some visuals together, maybe see what they find on the internet and see what looks good, right? And they just throw it together, try to make it look good. That's it. So that's dashboard by design, and that's not good. The same way, so that's dashboard by accident. The same way, modeling by accident is not good either. So right, so I've seen my fair share of that, where people pull in a bunch of tables and that's their Power BI model. No, that's not right. So all right, so we're gonna showcase some examples, and I'm gonna give my best feedback that I can. And am I a visualization expert? I doubt it, but I'm hoping I can help. All right, so I think I'm hoping the communal wisdom would be certainly greater than mine alone. So and of course, the next time we run it, keep an eye on this. You can send in your entries. And of course, the first thing that I get is like, oh my gosh, no, my data is sensitive. But guys, we've done it a few times, and there's a video right here to how you can submit it, blurring information, sensitive information. So yeah, that's super easy. All right, so we're gonna kick it off with Matt Brackin. So Matt, let's see. Are you kind of set up on your side? Why don't we make you presenter? You share your screen. We just dive in. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think I have to stop sharing. Okay, so I stopped sharing, and there should be the green share button on your side. Um,
Mhm.
Try that out.
Okay.
So I've seen Matt's dashboard, but he sent me notes saying, "Oh, it's new and updated." So I'm not sure what to expect. Okay, so we're seeing a skyline right now. Perfect. Okay, so and this is that the dashboard in full screen mode? Is that a
Y-
screenshot?
uh, yes, this is the dashboard. Are you seeing it?
Yeah. Wow, man, full screen just does make it look like PowerPoint. So Matt, before we dive in, so guys, this may be a first. So last time we reviewed dashboards, people had sent these in and I didn't have them on the phone, so I was kind of guessing at what the intent of the dashboard is and everything. And of course, sometimes that changes everything. So this time we have Matt Brackin live, so this is good. So Matt, give us a background so we understand what we're looking at. So tell us a bit about what you do and what the purpose of this dashboard is and who the audience is.
Sure. Well, thank you first off for having me on this platform. I couldn't have done this without you, Avi. I mean, all your help on YouTube and your communication. It's definitely something that I needed to do this. To the audience out there, I never even heard of Power BI
Mm-hmm.
before July. I was an Excel user. I didn't know what it was, and I kind of stumbled on this project with a meeting with a client, and I was talking to somebody, and they mentioned this, and I kind of fell in love with it right after that. Um, uh, with that, I also wasn't able to make this dashboard without the help of my Power BI consultant that you hooked me up with, Avi. Um, his name's Andre. I actually have his information to share with everybody. So if you're viewing this for the first time, if you need help with your model,
Nice.
if you need any help, this guy
Yeah.
is my go-to. He's like my Superman. He's a real MVP.
Oh gosh, yeah.
He'll do anything you want. So
Yeah. So
um,
so thanks for that. And yeah, folks, so I feel like um so for one, I'm gonna share a quote which Matt had said, and it man, it just it was so powerful. So Matt said that what Andre, kind of working with Andre, what they accomplished in 9 hours, he couldn't have done it in 90. And that felt so powerful. So folks, you gotta kind of make the call, right? I mean, sometimes if you're running a business or if you're a business user in a company, uh, it's okay to get help, right? I mean, that can speed things up. And of course, the style of consulting that I've always done and I advocate to all of my students is when we're consulting, we're also training, right? So we're also kind of transferring knowledge. So this style of consulting, you're not going to end up with like dependent on somebody. No, they're going to help you just move a lot faster. So thanks, Matt, for the shout out to Andre. And of course, folks, so if you or your company do need help, you can also go to just my website, learnpowerbi.com, and hit the contact me button. And I have the privilege that I can connect you with lots of Power BI talent all across the world in all different industries, and I'm pretty sure we can find somebody who can help you. Great. So thanks for that. So carry on.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So this dashboard's been a revolving project. The ultimate goal of this dashboard was to give executives at large companies the market intelligence and the confidence to make decisions on their energy bills. So in um, the United States, there's over 30 states that are deregulated, which means that you can choose your own energy supplier, which gives you the ability to save a substantial amount of money on your electrical or gas bill. These suppliers enter into long-term contracts with the power producers in the region, and you're able to get a much lower rate, save money,
Mm-hmm.
fixed rate. It's a lot of benefits to it. So this dashboard that I'm about to show to you is one of a kind. No one's ever done anything like this before.
Yeah.
It's really my crown jewel of what I'm doing. So this is the landing page. I'm going to try to give you a quick, because I know there's a couple pages, just a quick overview on each page, and then I can let you guys kind of tear it down or tear it up. So this is the landing page. I just have a little thing. What is Energy Dashboard? Tells you a little bit about what it is. Obviously the picture. kind of like a team atmosphere, because
Yeah.
I'm a consultant myself, so I'm trying to help these executives make these decisions. I haven't really figured out what I want to do with these frequently asked questions and these frequently used dashboard terms.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some terms in the dashboard that may cause confusion to somebody, and I wanted
Yeah.
them to kind of like have like a little spot where they can kind of answer their questions. So this is the homepage. If I go into cost breakdown, this is basically a breakdown of your electric rate that you see in your utility bill. So this is an interactive pie chart, which basically just breaks down what goes into your supply rate. Here's all the components, your energy, capacity, renewables, and a couple other components. And then I have a little bit of a matrix down here. So as a consumer, they can control basically 60% of their rate on their bill. The large majority of it is their energy rate itself, and then
Yeah.
capacity is a different thing. Little bit of a detail about what the components details are, but I think this is important because a lot of people don't understand how their electric bill is made up or what they can actually truly control. So this report will be viewed from executives with electric bills with $1,000 a month, or I
Mm-hmm.
work with some people with electric bills that are their electric bills $200,000 a month.
Wow.
So
Hey, before we go on, I don't know. I mean, you obviously shared that, hey, this is something unique. This has never been done in the industry before. If somebody's watching and they're like, oh my gosh, I mean, we have been talking about this at company. I'm not sure if you shared, how can they get in touch with you?
Um, I actually, well, it's right on the home screen right there.
Ah, perfect. All right,
My
great. So, yep,
email
you have
and
that.
my phone number. Yeah.
Terrific. Great. Keep going.
Okay, so yeah, this is just like a basic page, just because not everybody's good as be as granular and want all the details, but it's kind of just a basic breakdown of what your rate is.
Yeah.
This right here is the utility rates. So this is actually one of my favorite pages because I'm tapping into all the local utilities websites
Yeah.
in Massachusetts, and it's basically bringing in what their current rate is, what the rate will be in the future over the next 6 months, because the utility post the rates 6 months in advance. It gives you a breakdown of what the average rate has been the last 1, 2, 3, and 5 years. Um, I have a scroller on here, which if you just put your cursor over it, it'll stop.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just kind of like a flash. So if you're a customer and you're in Fall River, Massachusetts, your rate will increase on November 1st, and it's going to increase by
Wait,
9.17%.
whoa, whoa. So this is pretty cool. So I see that in the township you've chosen Westford, but what areas do you have available in this
I
dashboard?
have all the towns in Massachusetts. So if all I have to do is just type it in. So if I go like Boston,
Yeah.
it'll change and, and,
So
the, and the graph will change.
So do you only cater to the Massachusetts market, or is this just a starting point? Just
This
curious.
dashboard,
Yeah.
my main clientele is in Massachusetts, but I
Hmm.
can service any deregulated state
Brilliant.
in the United States.
Brilliant.
Um,
Great.
but yeah, so they can. There's over like 350 townships. So this one's Boston. And when I change it, I
Yeah.
have a lot of dynamic titles. So everything changes with the titles. So it makes it
Yeah.
kind of simple. This is the last 5 years, but if they just want to see like the last 3 years, I can go into here and the whole visual will
Yeah.
change. So this is their average rate, the 11.24. So this is kind of just a guideline of what they've paid in the past. And their past rates I have with a little table right there, so they can see what they paid in the past and what they're going to pay in the future, the
Yeah.
upcoming increase, and then the cards will. I can send out alerts for people when their rate goes up,
Beautiful.
and then they
And
can.
and the whole idea behind this, even perhaps kind of the company and what you do is to bring transparency to a market which has never seen that, right? I mean, where you didn't really know what was going on and you weren't in control and you just paid an amount and you didn't have any kind of power, and that's what you're trying to change.
Yep, completely correct. My industry, me as a salesperson by trade,
Yeah.
sometimes people don't trust me. Sometimes they say what I'm going to tell them is for my best interest and not theirs. So
Mm.
I wanted to give them a platform where they can get raw market intelligence, and everything I'm saying is backed up from data, and they know that I am guiding
Yeah.
them in the right direction.
Wow.
So this is the utility rate webpage. This is the today's prices. So this is updated every single day. I also have the quarter the quarter in the middle, so it's Q4, the month, and then the year-to-date price. I like the scroller idea because it
Mm-hmm.
kind of it's right in your face. It's almost like a stock market thing.
Yeah.
I have a sparkline graph so you can see where the price has been moving over the last month, quarter, and year. The red dots indicate the high point, green dots indicate the low point, and then the calendar visual, which is shaded with the red being the highest
Yeah.
price day. So this is what the price is right now in the current context, and then they can switch it off from off-peak hours, on-peak hours, and then depending on what section of Massachusetts you're in, you can slice it by
Yeah.
load zone.
Hey, Matt, are you in a spot where you can turn your webcam on?
I don't have a webcam actually.
Okay. All right. No worries. Keep going.
So this just gives you a live update of what the prices are right now, and it is updated daily, and then that'll update the price right there. This is the calendar year strip page. This is another really cool visual. I'll tell you guys where I got all these visuals. This is a time series visual, which is highly interactive. I can
Mm-hmm.
zoom out, zoom in. So if somebody was to buy their electricity, let's say they're doing a 5-year contract, they're going to be buying their electricity for calendar year 20, 21, 22, and 23. So these cards right here will give them the percentiles of what the price is in relative time.
Yeah.
So all the electricity for year 2021, the price has been higher, almost 68% of the time relative to what it is right now. So they're getting a good value if they're going to buy their energy for year 2021. And then they can see the current price. This visual too, you can also zoom out. You can also, with this, by clicking the legend, you can see, particular years.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then also too, when they click in the matrix, everything filters out. So if they just want to look at 2022, everything kind of filters out to that.
Nice.
And everything, all the cards go blank. So this is one of my favorite visuals. So if they were to lock in their prices back in July, so if I switch this slicer back to around the July, you'll see that they would have gotten a really really good rate on their bills, and that would have been the ideal time. But they wouldn't have known that if they didn't have this dashboard.
Yeah. So,
So
Matt, this is crazy and it's super scary. It's as if, imagine if the whole world invested in the stock market
yep,
without being able to monitor stock prices. Think about that, right?
yep.
But of course, we don't do that because we're not stupid. But, I guess in some industry, things haven't changed. But it's amazing, for one, yeah, how data can kind of empower you to shake up the industry. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing too. I mean, if you're going to invest in a particular stock, whether it's Apple or Google or whoever, would you blindly put your money into a trader's hand, or would you do your research first? I think everybody would do the research first, and this is the
Yeah.
same principle with what I do. So this is the calendar year strip page. I keep going down. This is the monthly forward. So this is pretty much another look, but just a little bit more granular. So the gray box indicates the trading range.
Yeah.
So my data set starts in May of 2016 all the way up to today. So the price, for example, December 2020, the price has been within this range. And then the tickers, whether it's a green or a red arrow, indicates if the price is going up or down. So for example, December 2020, the current price is trending up. It's at $55 a megawatt. And again, I have all this dynamically done with the titles and everything. So once
Yeah.
I click off this, it'll all change. And then this is also for multiple years, but you can go down here if you want to look at 2021, 2022. You can do that, and then you can kind of just scroll across and see where the prices are trending. And then the bottom of the matrix, same thing. I have the day that the price hit the max, the day that hit the min, the percentile, and then the value level. So this will kind of give you kind of like just like a trending analysis, like are the prices going up, are prices going down? This will kind
Yeah.
of help you guide you in that. This is my month-to-date analysis. So this is a waterfall chart by Zoom Charts. It kind of just tells you where the prices are moving month-to-date.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since July, the price has been trending up. This visual is pretty cool because it'll tell you some insights. So if I actually click off this price decrease, you can see that typically in Q3 and Q4, the prices always go up. So if you were an executive at a large company and you needed to fix in your energy prices, well, you definitely don't want to do that in Q3 and Q4 because you're going
Yeah.
to get bad value on your money. You really want to do it in the middle of the summer time when prices kind of hit rock bottom. So
Yeah.
this is kind of like another view of that.
Well, this is pretty cool. So we have talked before, but something that I just said now just sparked a memory. So of course I don't like trade or deal in these markets, energy or something, but I do remember one report talking about the rise of Southwest. So of course Southwest is a favorite airlines for a lot of people, there are a lot of fans out there, but and which is good. So they have been good with customer service, with the way they run the business, the way they recruit, and a lot of other things. But I also remember reading that one of their advantages that they gained was that they bought or locked in their fuel prices at a low point, and they did it in such a way, and for like whatever 5 years, next 5 years or something, that for that duration it gave them an edge over their competitors. So who knows? I mean, right? I mean, so obviously for some companies it might be just reduction in cost, but for some that might be significant enough that that can help them kind of pass those savings on to the customer and hence gain a competitive advantage in the market, right? I mean, it could be that big.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect analogy. Actually, a customer I'm working on today, they're, it's a manufacturing company in Western Massachusetts. I'm going to save them $28,000 over the next 5 years. There's a customer in New Hampshire I helped over the summer.
Yeah.
She owns 5 Dunkin' Donuts franchises.
Mm.
I saved her $110,000 from getting a 5-year fixed rate from what she was paying before. So you're
Good
not
number.
talking chump change here.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrific.
Um, so this is the month to date analysis. And then also two of the buttons, I wanted to make them a little bit more button-like. So when they scroll, and then also too, if you change any of the settings on a particular page, you can click this button and it'll reset it to the original bookmark.
Yeah.
So whatever I have it set up as. So a lot of people can kind of, maybe they get lost in here. They click a
Yeah.
year and they don't know what
Oh
they
yeah.
did. All they have to do is just go, boom,
Yeah.
goes right back to that.
Perfect.
This is the year-to-date analysis. Just tells you what the prices are year-to-date. So the prices are actually down 8% year-to-date. So 2019 has been pretty good for prices. They've been going down. 2018, they definitely went up. But then you can also slice it by particular years, forward years, and then load zones and things like that too. And then you can also take off, you click the legend, you can kind of see stuff right down there too, and you can zoom in. These visuals from Zoom Charts are just one of a kind, and I wanted to give them a shout out to
Yeah.
give the information to the guys that actually helped me with this. This just tells you about what the prices are year to date. This is a 12-month forecast, so this is actually one of my few native visuals I have in here. So
Mm-hmm.
this is basically just a standard line chart, but it's with the advanced analytics. So I can get I have all the data in here from basically the last 3.5 years, and the orange line represents where the price has traveled over the last 3 years, and then the dotted line is where the price is expected to go. For example, on January 7th, 2020.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see where the price will go. This is a 95% confidence interval. So there's a 95% chance that prices will fall within this gray shaded area.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a customer and let's say your energy contract expires in April, and you're one of many executives that don't want to deal with this stuff until 2 months before your contract ends. Well, if your contract expires let's say it expires in May, and you're traditionally you look into these new energy contracts about 2 or 3 months before your current one expires. If you're to do that, the price that you're going to pay 2 or 3 months before May is a lot higher than what the price is now. So and showing somebody this,
Mm-hmm.
they can make a decision more farther in the future.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about prices going up. I'm actually able to lock in a customer's energy prices 2 years before the energy starts to flow.
All right, all right. Hey, this is great.
You
This is great. So it sparked another thing which I'm going to share. So for folks who are like still feeling a little weird about it, I don't know if it really sticks, and Matt can guide me. But I'm thinking about one example that maybe most of us would relate to, which are home loans, right? So I have my home and I'm paying a mortgage, and when the rates hit low, if I am watching it carefully, which I don't, and I had all this kind of analysis and data, I
know.
could pick that right time and say, oh, cool, this is the time to refinance. This is somewhat similar, right? I mean, for those who are not at all familiar with energy markets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of remember. I think everyone's probably seen Forrest Gump. And in the end of the movie, he got a big check in the mail from what he called a fruit company,
Mm-hmm.
and that fruit company actually turned out to be Apple. So imagine if you bought. I don't know what the stock price is for Apple right now, but
Yeah.
call it $1,000 a share. What if you
Yeah.
bought it at $10 a share?
Yeah. All right.
How
Terrific.
well how well off would you be right now? So this kind of just gives them a picture on where prices are intended to go with the exponential smoothing and the algorithm that Power BI does. Kind of just a model. So it's a pretty cool little thing. And then my final page is a climate forecast. So I'm basically pulling in this data from the government's website. This is what so if you're living in this part of the country right now,
Yeah.
it's pretty cold where you're at. So you're up here in Seattle, right, Avi? So
Yes, I
uh,
am.
little mild, but
Yeah.
that's where it's supposed to be at.
Yeah. We
Um,
like it that way.
yeah, and then you can also change it to an 8 to 14 day forecast. So looks like over the next month, Avi, it's going to be pretty normal where you're at.
All right.
And
So hey, this is super duper crazy, and I have to jump in because this is like what I've seen this before, and I'm surprised. I'm sure. So first of all, people are asking a lot of questions about the visuals. So the ones are zoom charts, and they have different visuals, and they are custom visuals, and they are, I believe, there's like a freemium model. So you kind of get it for free with limited functionality, but then you pay a fee for that. And Matt is using the paid version. Is that right, Matt?
yeah, it's actually not that expensive. I actually only paid I think $30 for
Yeah.
the license. I do have the individual's name. It's actually if well, it's going to be right here. Can you see this?
Yes. Oh, great. So Andre,
Okay.
glad you shared that. So Andre, that's the he's a Learn Power BI member, part of a Pro Plus group, and of course you heard the quote, that right? I mean, what they did in 9 hours would have been hard to do that in 90. So Andre definitely is pretty amazing. Get in touch with him at statusfi.com. I love that site name. And Zoom charts, that link is there as well. And great that you have the contact as well. So what I'll say, folks, about Zoom charts is, in general, I'm a little wary of custom visuals. Zoom charts is certainly quite exemplary, as you've already seen. You don't need me to say that. Just be cautious that, I mean, it is paid, and of course, with one license, you don't have to think about it. $30 or something close to that shouldn't be a matter. But if you're rolling out to 100 users, well, yeah, I'm not sure what kind of licensing structure they have for that. All right, so let's, yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah,
And then also too, I just want to give a shout out the Zoom charts. They hold webinars every Tuesday and Thursday. It's a free webinar. So
nice.
before you kind of invest in anything, you can watch their webinar and ask
Ask
questions.
questions, yeah.
And they're great. They're great over there. Ivis is the technical engineer. I think he's somewhere in Central Europe, I think, but he's a great guy. He's worked with Power BI a long time,
All
and
right,
he knows everything about their
great.
product.
So Ansgar shared that the license cost is currently by the number of creators, not size of audience, which is brilliant, great news, and of course, makes you think that, shoot, I mean, maybe Power BI should have a licensing model similar to that. Anyway, I'll leave that. I wouldn't touch that one. Let's go back to your dashboard, and
Sure.
so that's the first one. Now the second one, man, this looks like an image. This doesn't look like, or is it an R visual, or is this what is happening here? Help me
Uh,
understand.
This is actually from I believe it's a custom visual. It's like a PDF or it's no, the image viewer.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a GIF file. Um,
Okay.
I did have what I plan on doing is bringing in weather data. So
Yeah.
I actually have in another version, which I'm not done yet, but I actually have a Doppler radar, which is pretty cool. And actually, it's animated. so you can actually see the Doppler
Wow.
radar and all the weather changes. But
Yeah.
this is just a copy image URL from the web, and it's
Okay.
just and then it updates. So as you can see, this was just updated the other day, October 24th, and just does it automatically.
Wow. That's like sci-fi stuff. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So I have to kind
Yeah.
of contain myself and focus on what we were talking about, kind of dashboard makeover. Um, so last time we had talked. So again, guys, I'm always learning as I'm teaching, so don't mind me. Right. So last time we had talked about like what are the key things to look for, and I was talking about some stuff, and I think somebody in the audience said that what about the audience, and that is really key. So I'll tell you what my bread and butter is. So I think of visualization. When I think of visualizations, there is storytelling, where somebody's trying to tell a specific story, which is for me an example is you walk in a boardroom and you want to essentially convince them to make a specific decision that we should invest in this company, whatever, right? We should buy this company. And you tell a story for that, right? So that is storytelling. And then there are infographics, right? So infographics, they started off in the media, and of course, kind of used to show up in the print newspaper. Of course, nobody reads the printed newspaper anymore, so now we started getting their online versions. And frankly, Tableau made it big, big based on that. I mean, they got so much free advertisement because of Tableau Public, which all of the news reporters were using, and we've all seen infographics, and of course, we've seen others as well. So there's that. There's the storytelling. There's the infographics, and then there is what I call the operational reports, and maybe there's some other subcategories as well, right? And my bread and butter is operational reports, which somebody is looking at daily, monthly, weekly, something like that. and
Mhm.
and where people go wrong is they see elements in the storytelling like the moving bubble charts. Oh, right. I mean, when I shoot down moving bubble charts, uh, people ping me and talk about Hans Rosling. Man, Hans Rosling was the god. He's amazing, but he was telling a story. He wasn't showing you an operational report. uh, right. So they confuse those elements, and they confuse what they see in infographics. They see something flashy and they say, oh, that looks so good, let me put in there. Stupid idea, right? So yeah, operation reports are different, and usually the less bling you have, the better you do. Okay, so that was kind of a little bit of a recap for what I learned last time. So for this one, I'll admit, Matt, that I'm a little bit out of my depth here, because this is like an executive report, right? So it's
Mhm.
different. It's not so actually, that's the first one thought that I had, was that I think maybe down the, so this is great for starting out, but I feel like down the line, and you just tell me if it sounds right. And obviously, I'm not saying you need to do it now, right? I feel like in the future you would have two different dashboards. One would be kind of your pitch, right? One would be your pitch dashboard, but then the
Mhm.
other one would perhaps be simpler. It can be simpler and would look different, which would be that, oh, once they're your customer, that's what they use at whatever frequency, daily if they want to check daily, or weekly, monthly, right? I
Mhm.
mean, and do you see it that way?
Yeah, so this is like a holistic view of energy prices where they are today, where they're going to be in the future. I
Yeah,
am working on a proposal website or a
yeah,
proposal. It's not going to be an extra dashboard. It's just going to be an extra button, and I'm able to actually take the contract itself from the energy supplier, which is actually a PDF, and then transform the PDF and break down all the tables into it, and then put the data into my dashboard model,
yeah.
and then they can see it. I actually been show you. Let's see, I think it would be. It's actually I can show you what it's probably going to look like. It's actually I think it's in my trash bucket here. Sorry about this,
That's okay.
but it is right here. Oh, yeah, just move this out of there like that, and right here. So this is uh, this is a kind of like the theme I'm going to go with. It just being an extra button. So basically, they can see an updated proposal for themselves whenever I want to publish it. So this customer right here. The estimated total savings is going to be between around 16%. So if they locked in a contract for 59 months, they save $24,000 The start date will be December 1st.
Yeah.
Their current rate is almost 10 cents a kilowatt, and then their rate that I'm going to provide them is in the low eights, so they can see what the price is, what they're paying, what compared to what they're paying now versus what they're going to pay in the future.
All right, cool. Let's go
So
back
this
to
is
the
kind of like where I'm kind of going with this.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Let's go
So
back to that and how do
Um,
I?
so
Oh, okay.
it's just a screenshot of this, but this will be interactive too, and I'll probably just make it as an extra button, either
Yeah.
proposal or savings analysis. But this is going to be once I get the customer's utility bill, and once I do pull their usage from the local utility company and pull all that data into the model, then it can make something like this for them. So really, this is probably going to be one of my more important pages, and then they can share this page with anybody in their executive group and like, oh man, if we
Yeah.
lock in for 3 years right now, we save
Yeah.
$14,000. Let's not drag our feet anymore. Let's get this done. Let's sign this agreement, and
Yeah,
then
that's
boom.
that's great. And yeah, it's gonna be specific to them. So let's go back to the dashboard,
Yep,
and I'm gonna. Can you go full screen again? And I'm also gonna
sure.
request keyboard
Yeah.
control so I can kind of mouse around. So again, folks. So this one is slightly different because it's it's kind of that executive pitch, and then maybe being used after that as well. So this is I wouldn't really categorize as kind of operation dashboard. I mean, I feel that's not like the main intent, at least not right now. Right. So, for one, I mean, for an operation dashboard, a page like this would never be the first page, right? Because again, if somebody's looking at it daily, weekly, something, this page needs to maybe can be there, but it will be somewhere else. Maybe it'll be a button which they use to access and jumps. But again, the intent of this report is different. So I think for this report, this works. One idea that I had for so let me see if the keyboard thing is working. Oh, it is working. Great. Is so Matt, there are these I don't know what I think called visual tips or something. It's somewhat of a new feature, and folks
Hmm.
back me up here. I'm not making it up, am I? So I think what it does is it puts kind of a question mark here, and and if you hover over it, it can show you kind of information. So you can use that where it makes sense. Looking at that, right? So that's one idea. So I remember,
I actually have
yeah.
that with a lot of them. So like this calendar year strip page,
Yeah.
you could
Oh,
go over this.
beautiful. Yep. Perfect. Great.
It's a report level tooltip, so they can see, exactly, that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. All right. So again, homepage for operation report. This wouldn't be the first page, but again, for this one, I think it works. And in general, what we say. So let's go to the first real page, like cost breakdown here. Is generally the the dashboard is always scanned in. People are gonna scan it top left top left. I'm trying to get my right and left right. So top left and then across. Same way they read, right? So basically a dashboard is kind of scanned this way. Now what that means is that top left is the most important area. And so generally I've seen layouts like this where people put slicers on the left or bookmarks on the left, and and again, I mean, for the purpose of this report, again, when you're building something for executives, I think things change quite a bit. For one, you got to keep things really simple. You got to dumb it down. You got to make everything really easy. So in that way, it's effective. But generally, I put navigational elements. I try not to take up the kind of the most prime real estate, right? But again, I think for this one, it kind of works. But I did want to point that out. Um, all right, cool. So again, pie charts, not a huge fan of that, but executives love it. So we'll leave that too. And the only other thing that I was thinking about, Matt, was on the left, you did say you want to make them more button-like. But what would be nice to see? Oh, by the way, I think Greg or somebody was asking. So, what are these? Are these like images and text? Are they one image? Like, what is this block? This today's
Um,
prices. This thing is that?
that's a button with text, and then when you hover it over, the button changes, and then there's a image
Yeah.
to the left of that, which is just a little icon which I put on top of it.
Yeah, man, I actually I can't I don't really know how to do that. do you know how do you like if you does anybody know how to if you hover over something, how the heck to change that? That's crazy.
It's in the when you go into the bookmarks. It's the under the paintbrush. You can change whether you click on something, whether you hover over something.
All
You
right.
know, change the color, the background. So you know, when you hover over something, it kind of inverts the color, so it kind of stands out.
Oh,
And then
that's
when you're on that
brilliant.
page, sometimes they're going to click something where they can kind of get lost. And then if they need to just reset it,
Yeah.
it's they can just go boom, and it just resets it to the original setting.
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, mate. I mean, by the way, I mean overall, actually, I should have started with this. I mean, this is just brilliant. This is beautiful looking, and I think the reaction on the YouTube, kind of people were saying the same. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what is this? What is this visual?" So it's overall brilliant. So I think I feel like I'll be kind of splitting hair a little bit. But the one thing that I did think of was right now, as you're going through different sections, I love kind of this whole interactivity, click to reset page. That's awesome. But imagine if I was at utility rates, if it stayed lit up like this. That way, I kind of knew my place, right? I mean, at least as a new user, like I may clicked on utility rates, but then I forgot which one I clicked on, and I've like, maybe start over from the top or something, right? So if if I clicked on calendar year strips, and then it stayed kind of kind of lit up, kind of like that. Does that make sense?
No, it's a great idea. I actually didn't really think about that,
All right,
but
cool.
yeah.
So let's look at this. So yep, this one kind of high level detail, perfect. Component matrix, the component type, add-on zero. Okay, cool. Um, so this component, this word, this would make sense to your audience, right? I mean,
Totally.
okay,
It's
terrific.
like when you're looking at the back of a food label and you see that it's
Yeah,
got 8% carbohydrates, 20% protein. Same idea.
nice. All right, so that one looks good. So folks, yeah. So anything moving will definitely grab your attention. So the sticker, I think this is a custom visual as well, and yeah. So if you need something which is really grab their attention, that'll definitely do it for you. Now, of course, the only tip that I would say is use sparingly, which I think was what Matt has done. I mean, imagine if there were like five different things or everything was scrolling or moving, then that would be not be fun. Yeah, so I think this is overall well laid out. The main focus of this is the graph. Now, I haven't done. I've seen like dark dashboards where it's kind of a dark background. Yours is kind of a mix where it's kind of white, but these are dark. Mm, I'm not sure. Have you tried these with a lighter background?
I did. I was playing with colors a lot. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
with Andre's advice, the first time I actually did this dashboard, it kind of looked like a little kid's dashboard.
Yeah.
So I did like the dark aspect of it. You know, it is a little bit more difficult to do it with dark because you got to be very particular with your colors.
Yeah.
I did take your advice with like, if there is anything with color on my dashboard, it's
Yeah.
there for a purpose. I didn't. This is
Exactly.
not this is
Yeah.
not a dashboard by accident. This is dashboard by design, I should say.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
this scroller,
Yeah.
it's there for a purpose because that's the most important thing. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a customer in Fall River, you know that your prices are going up almost 10% in about a week.
Nice.
So if you haven't made a decision, you got to make one now.
Oh man. So
The
yeah.
cards are all white background, but
Oh, that's great. So I'm really glad to be showcasing like a good example because yeah, I mean we want to see those too, right? So speaking about that, just curious. So you did say that. So this folder was basic service. This looks kind of reddish to me. Is that intentional? Is it red because it
yeah,
increases?
yeah. So I have a lot of conditional formatting,
Nice.
dynamic
Wow.
titles. So once the price goes down,
Yeah. So
um,
guys,
I, I don't.
yeah,
I don't know if there's a city where the prices are going to go down because the prices always go up in Massachusetts in
it's
the
gonna go
wintertime.
green. Yeah, but
But
that's
yeah,
great. That speaks to exactly what you were saying is dashboard by design. So guys, I mean, this is what I mean by it. And hey, do I create that every single dashboard that I created was it always so intentional? Not always, but at least you're seeing a good example, right? Where every element was thought out and considered, and it's intentional, right? So if something is colored differently, it's intentional. If somebody's scrolling across the screen, it's intentional because we do want to grab your attention with that. So yeah, so this is pretty good. Let's see. yeah, I think overall looks great, and I think everyone has its purpose. And I think from considering your audience, kind of giving the executive, you've kept it really simple, kind of big and bold. I like this one quite a bit. Um, so this one, I'm not sure. So this actually, can I question the scrolling thing?
Hmm.
Um, it's I think yeah. So I think that's kind of fine line, right? So I think for the earlier graph, and I've forgotten what my place was.
Utility.
There was yeah okay. There was one ticker and that was fine, but in
Hmm.
in this one the three tickers is slightly annoying, especially well is yeah. I mean I don't know. I would reconsider this maybe.
I was thinking about that too. I was kind of conflicted with just the because I was using below that it's a multi-level card, so I could just get rid of the tickers and just put a bigger card up there.
Yeah.
Um, but for here, I kind of just I don't think somebody's probably gonna maybe watch this page too much, but if you kind
Yeah.
of just look at it, October prices are up a little bit, Q4 prices are up a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's this weird effect, and I don't know if it's a specific numbers, but it seems to like scroll off from one to the other, which that's not what it's doing. But you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Like
Oh yeah.
sometimes it does that where it seems like it's scrolling, and which it is not. So I think that's making it slightly confusing. So again, I mean, we're splitting hair. It's a beautiful dashboard, but hey, I gotta find something, right? So no, okay, cool. All right, mate. So I think I'll call it there unless somebody else has any specific feedback. I think my best one so far was to show them kind of where they are. So that's I think the best that I came up with. So beautiful, mate. As you said, I mean, this is certainly kind of dashboard by design. Uh, this is brilliant. This is really nicely done. And of course, what I love is the bigger purpose behind it, right? It's not just a pretty picture, right? Because that would just, yeah, I mean, it's not just a pretty picture. It's a robust model pulling data from a lot of sources, and it has a bigger purpose, which is to shake up the energy industry. So brilliant. That's great.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna scroll across. So, on the phone, if you guys saw something and which I don't know, some feedback, and you can share positive feedback as well. So
Yeah, so I have a little bit. Matt, beautiful eye candy, like visually just stunning.
yeah,
Um, I guess, and maybe this is for the audience. You're going it because it's like an executive dashboard. I think you'll be guiding them through it. But my only comment is I think it was the homepage was a lot of text.
Yeah.
And I just got kind of lost in the text. And the only other thing was the orange text. So I've found, with some of the stuff I've worked with, if I put yellow or orange in, people are like, ooh, that's it kind of catches the eye and kind of blends into the background. But you know, uh, like Avi said, I'm splitting hairs because
yeah.
the visualization pages are just stunning, beautiful, impressive stuff.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I went with the orange just because it's kind of like it's in my logo color. Which my logo's down here,
Hmm.
and it's kind of
gotcha.
just like a theme where this orange is the same as that bar up there. It's the same
Oh yeah,
orange as the visual tippers.
yeah.
So it's, I
So
mean, I could change that to black, but
yeah,
you
but
know,
guys, I just want to pause here and kind of call out. Think about the intention behind this, right? I mean, think about how those elements are intentional, right? I mean, it's something we're pointing out, and Matt is saying, "Oh, well, that connects to this, that connects to this," and whether it's right or wrong, well, first of all, usually there's no right or wrong. Well, could it be done differently? Sure, who knows, right? But that's a separate thing. But again, it's intentional. It's not just kind of randomly put in there. So kudos, mate. That's great.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, I mean, I would appreciate any feedback, positive, negative. Like I said, I never even heard of Power BI before July, and
Yeah,
to tell you and the audience that I haven't completely immersed myself in this dashboard would be a lie. I mean, I'm
yeah,
working on this thing 10 hours a day trying to get it better. And, I think in a couple months from now, it's going to be even better. I plan on bringing in all the data from the government's website. I have
hmm,
a couple more visuals up my sleeve. Actually, it's a heat analysis so they can see how much the energy they're using on each hour of the year.
All right.
Which so if they want to, let's say if you're a manufacturing company and you start your plant up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you close your plant down at 5 o'clock in the evening, if you maybe change those hours up a little bit, you'll get a much different price because
Yeah.
electricity isn't the same price for any hour of the day. So it's kind of like it gives them really, really deep analysis on maybe they should shut off the generators at their plant. Maybe they should, tell their workers to go home at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
pretty granular stuff. But yeah, any feedback? That's why I've been looking forward to this day for about 2 weeks now, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Matt, just one more comment. So I get the orange for your logo, and then if you look, the calendar 2021, you've got
Right,
orange on black, which
right.
is stunning and beautiful. And looking at Avi's, title block on the video too, you got yellow on black. So I'm wondering, and you've got a lot of white on black on the left side on your icons, your kind of guide. So I'm
Okay.
wondering, you may want to test out kind of a darker background with white text and maybe the orange and black, and that would really pop out. And I think what you're using that orange for too is emphasis, and the orange on black would really pop that out in a nice way. So that's just a little thing, but you might want to try that out.
No, yeah, I could definitely do that. I mean, I just had, if you see like the legend, the calendar
Yeah,
year 2021, it's the same colors as the card up there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that it kind of like makes sense. Let draw your eyes to that, or if you just you can have all these clicked. If you just click on 2021, it all should all filter out right there too. So these go blank. The legend won't change, but I kind of just because I took art in college too, so I know that your
Mm-hmm.
eye kind of travels a certain way. And Avi's totally correct. Your eye, scans from the top left, kind of like like a Z,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I took that to heart, and I and a lot of it's gray. A lot of this is gray and stuff like that too. I did that so a lot of people's eyes just don't focus on the navigation bar. They focus on the important things, whether it's this card, which I have conditional formatting on the
Yeah.
card, so changes the color and all that stuff.
Hey, can
Yeah.
I ask? So this, yeah, if you, so you pointed out that the colors of those cards, like Cal 2020, Cal 2021,
Yep.
these ones match with the legend here in the chart.
Yep.
Um, do you do that by kind of hard coding the card colors? I mean,
Uh,
right? I'm
yeah.
thinking
So
about.
in the custom visual, you're able to, let's just say for this card right here, you're
Yeah.
able to, put in, the color of whatever text you have. So I'm just matching up the color with the respective color for the same Cal
Yeah.
2020 in the visual itself. And then a lot of this, I learned from your video, Avi, which I got to give you credit for this, is I have a lot of like calendar offsets on here. So, these are basically only will show 2020, 2021. Um, and
Got it.
this page right here really has a lot of offsets because this will only show the calendar in the current month. And then this is only going to show for whatever the current quarter is, current year. So I definitely did use those offsets, which I learned from your wonderful YouTube video about calendar year offsets.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty good. All right. Well, Matt, thank you again. Hey, can you put on the screen the homepage with your contact information? I just wanted to call that out again.
Sure.
All right, folks. So that was Matt Brackin. So Matt, thank you so much. And yeah, folks, if you or your company clearly, I mean, Matt is shaking up the energy industry. So if anything like this, like hey, seemed like it might help your company or uh, somebody, maybe a friend's company whom you know, then you can get hold of Matt at his email address mbracken at ptg.us, and his phone number is up there as well. All right, Matt. Thank you, mate. That was terrific.
Thank you. Thank you for showcasing me.
All right, if I can zoom out, let's try this. Wow, that was pretty incredible. Let's see. I think people generally loved it. Pablo, hello, my friend. Jen, saw you earlier. Good to have joined. Mm, mydatastories.com is saying, are you able to provide the DAX being used? I would say you can hire Andre for that. And of course, Matt said he's been working on this 10 hours per day. So folks, yeah, I mean, that certainly, if you have energy needs, then he can help you with that. All right, cool. So folks, we had other entries as well. Let's step through that. Let's see if those members are present here. That'll make it more fun. Where do I find it? Shared. And we have there we go. So the next one up is, let's see, was it Bismarck? Oh, so we had oh gosh, who sent that one? Let's switch to something else. So I think one person sent a financial analysis, and another person sent a golf simulator. And I've forgotten. I apologize. I've forgotten the name of the person. Let me look it up actually. Where is it? There it is. All right. So the golf simulator data is coming up. We'll take a look at that. That should be fun. That should be a good change. And then we had a financial analysis, and then a new one that came in this morning, yesterday. All right. So the golf simulator is Matthew Miller. Matthew, thank you for sending this to us. And oh, it's already open. Great. All right, folks. So let's look at that. So again, I've talked about some of the principles overall. And of course, since I don't have Matthew on the phone, I'm going to make some assumptions. So golf simulator data, maybe I am the one who creates the golf simulator, and then I'm providing this as an add-on service to my customers, saying, hey, look, you can use my golf simulator and practice, and then with this, you have a lot of data to kind of improve your game. Cool, let's go with that. First impression. So what's the first thing that I'm looking for? Pretty similar to what I said with Matt, is that people scan their dashboard. So hold on, let me pin video. Okay, cool. I got myself in the corner over here. Is that they scan in this Z kind of format, right? So just like we read. And of course, if you're catering to somebody in Middle East, their script goes from right to left, so they would be used to scanning this way, and it gets so hardwired in us that we just do it automatically, right? So pretty much anybody, most cultures, we read kind of left to right, so that's how we scan. So what that means is that top left is the prime real estate, and that's what I want you to think about dashboard when you're building a dashboard. And by the way, when I say dashboard, I'm using the conventional definition of dashboard, which pretty much means a screen full of information, hopefully useful. All right, a screen full. Okay, that wasn't too bad. But of course, Power BI has its own words: Power BI report, pages, report, dashboard. I don't care about that. I'm just screen full of information, which hopefully makes sense. That's a dashboard for me. So this one is a dashboard. So in a dashboard, I want you to think of it as real estate, right? So imagine if you were a real estate mogul and you had all this property and you wanted to build something there. Like, what are you going to build here? Are you going to build a mall? Are you going to build a residential complex? It's your choice, and it's going to decide everything. So the most prime real estate is the top left. And most people waste it. Frankly, I often have done the same. In fact, embarrassingly, the example files that I have, they always do the same thing, which is they put the logo here. So it's okay. I mean, hey, nobody's going to shoot you down. I'm not shooting you down. I do it myself, right? But if you can, you must avoid it, right? So the logo is uninteresting. It's not data. So that's another thing that we had talked about, which is to maximize data pixels. And we'll talk more about that. So this is not data. This is not changing. This is just, frankly, it's really low value, right? So, branding went up. Who cares? And again, we're talking about operation reports. That's a hat we have on. So if you can manage, then you should put the put the logo in the least important corner in the bottom right. That's the least important corner, because again, remember, we scan in this way, so that makes this part the least important corner, because that's where the eye travels last. So if you can manage, put the logo there. If you cannot manage that, if you feel like you do need to put it in the top, then I would say try to put it on the top right and start with something, right? So, but hey, maybe that's okay there. And again, I do it too. And again, so again, this is the top real estate, and I feel we often don't do it right. So slicers, I don't need to look at slicers all the time. I don't need to focus on them. So I try to move them out of the way. So my favorite place for the slicers is over here. And again, now we have the filters pane, but usually I like slicers. I like putting it on the page, not a panel which can be hidden away and stuff. So slicers are great, but yeah, I try to put them over here. All right, so that out of the way, and then what is the first thing? What is the first thing that the eye focuses on? So look at this dashboard, and sometimes it's called a squint test, where you squint your eyes and like, what can you see? And and man, I mean, I do. It's actually kind of confusing. So I think that's one thing which perhaps can be improved with this page, that there is no central focus. Um, I mean, I didn't know where to look. I mean, this was kind of front and center. By the way, center position is also important. Ignore the scanning thing. If you put something right in center, and that automatically makes it prominent as well. So these things are here, and I feel that they're related. And frankly, so again, I mean, human eye is very perceptive to slight shifts. So hey, am I getting too deep? I'll let you decide, right? Your call. But I'll admit that I'm kind of at odd. Like, so in my mind, what's going on is that I'm connecting these things together, right? My brain is and it's happening automatically. I'm breaking it down for you, right? So I'm connecting these four things together because they're similar, right? I mean, look at that. They're all what are the gate charts, right? By the way, gate charts aren't that great, but they take up too much real estate to convey very little. Imagine if you really had real estate, it's like having a big building but not too many tenants or something like that, right? But anyway, in my mind, it is connecting these four. But what's throwing me off totally is that these two are like mismatched. They're like not aligned. Either these two were sitting here and this guy was, these were like balanced, right? I mean, it was here and it was over here. Then it will look balanced. Right now, it's feeling a little off, So we'll come back and fix it. But anyway, we go back. So we're talking about a central focus. There's no central focus, I think. I mean, so when I did the squint test, this kind of caught my attention because there are four of them and they're kind of slightly off, and anything off will get your attention too. And the numbers are uninteresting. Usually we don't focus on the numbers. And this was very interesting, quite interesting, kind of in a weird spot, kind of a weird location. And this was also very interesting because it's so bloody busy. We'll come back and talk about that, right? So there's no central focus. So that's another thing that I would change. And I don't know. I mean, maybe make some of these elements smaller. And again, you got to decide, what do you want the central focus to be? Do you want the central focus to be this one? Well, then I would give that center stage, right? I mean, I would kind of make it bigger or something like that, right? Let's come back to these elements. So these elements. So if you remember last time, what I'd said was, what is the most important element in dashboard design? Do you remember that, guys? Anybody? White space. White space is the most brilliant. And of course, it doesn't have white background, but you know what I'm saying, right? So white space is one of the most effective things. So for this dissonance, let's call it, is that a simpler word? This disconnect, right, between these four. I'm struggling with that. I'm really struggling with that. You can solve it, I think, just by using white space. So there are these. So what you can do, in my mind, is you can just move these guys closer together. You saw what I did there? Right? And move these two closer together, right? And I don't know, I'll just move this element here for a bit, just so it's not empty. So now if you think about it, so in our mind, we group things together. We group things together based on a lot of different criteria. One is likeness. If things are similar, we group them together, right? So in my mind, I was grouping these two together because they were alike. But we use other criteria to group things together as well. One of them is proximity. Simple, right? So the closer they are, we group them together. So now my brain is not struggling with that, oh, these are four of a kind. No, because these two are kind of closer together. So in my brain is kind of grouping those two together. My brain is grouping those two together. So I'm a little more at peace. So I think we're better there. Let's talk about this element. And hey, I mean, guys, I mean, if you see my dashboards, I'm pretty sure you could pick it apart too, right? So take it with that sentiment. I'm just kind of, again, I mean, just if you can learn something, my motto is every person I meet can teach me something new. So teach me one useful thing. So if you learn one useful thing from me, that'd be good. All right. So yeah. So this is way too many colors. Not quite helping. I don't think it needs that. Like, why does it need different colors? So I'm just gonna peek into it a little bit, and let's see. And I'm not sure. A shot ID. I don't. So club. Oh, yeah, this is kind of confusing. Let's try. It's a shot ID. What does it look like? Oh no. Okay. All right. So I'll undo that, and so legend. Well, let's try something different. I think the detail needs to be shot ID. Let's try that. And club is the legend. Oh, that's a little bit better. You saw how it changed, right? So let's go back. Earlier, every single shot was pretty much a different color. Is it coming up? And now there's shots. Actually, yeah. So now, yeah, and it didn't really make sense. For one, there were too many colors, and it doesn't help, right? So at some point, human brain just kind of shuts down, right? I mean, just stops working. It just doesn't work, right? So um, more than 5 shades of some color, and we're like gone, right? You've lost me. Now, this is not bad though. I think this is certainly better, right? So color is less. And I think this maybe should show the legend. So let me turn on the legend as well. Where is the legend? Oh, thank God for the search box. I'm grateful for the search box, but perhaps that's also a sign of failure, that the interface isn't simple enough. Think about Excel. They've kind of evolved beyond that. Oh man, yeah, it did look good as a vertical graph. So let's see. Maybe I'll get rid of this for a bit. All right. So we'll come over here, and yeah. So legend. Okay, cool. So I can say 9-iron. Oh, that's all over, is it? Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe we can do. I think we can do something more here. Maybe increase the transparency and so forth. It's not like popping as much, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it for now, and we made some improvement. Cool. So let's see. Yeah. So I did talk about the background color. Uh, um, so so guys, one thing that I mentioned at the beginning was data pixels, right? So maximize the data pixel. Anything that is not data needs to disappear, needs to be de-emphasized. Either you can remove it altogether or de-emphasize it. And I think background color is a key culprit. Now, this isn't bad. I mean, what I've seen is much worse. I mean, sometimes people have different background colors for each kind of graph element, which is, you often don't need it. As I said, more often, white space is the most effective element. I mean, most of the time they're trying to make things stand out. You can just often do that just by using white space, right? So, but yeah, I generally stay away. So either what's recommended is, by the way, pretty much, my guru, my godfather in visualization design is Stephen Few. So go read his book, Information Dashboard Design. He has other books. That's the only one I've read. So, what he says in there is either it's white, or sometimes white is like shows too bright on the screen. So actually, sometimes off-white, slightly off-white can work better. I'll let you kind of experiment with that. I usually just go with white, but again, white or off-white. Can you do a dark background? I don't know. I mean, black, sure. I've seen them. Do they look eye-popping? Great. But would I want to look at that every single day? Probably not. Probably not. All right. So yeah. So yeah. I mean, again, a Brad Murray's operation reports. Cool. So I don't think we'll go through some of the other ones. We'll just glance through some of the other ones, and probably not really dive into it. But I must say, so Matthew, my friend, boy, you analyzed the heck out of this, right? So, hey, folks, if you need help with the golf game, and if you're using SkyTrack, send Matt your data, and he'll build a custom dashboard, or I don't know, whatever, right? So, I reached out to him. So he's certainly built a pretty cool and interesting model here. Done a lot of analysis, yardage analysis, range, session history. and other good stuff. Let's see if there's more graphs. The rest of the stuff seems a little text heavy. Maybe, and I don't know, maybe that's just the data set. Sometimes it's that. But, oh yeah, cool. So here are more graphs, summary. I like this. So this is, yeah, this is good again, kind of the same background color, similar stuff that I said. And so again, guys, if you think about this one, if you look at this one, what's the central focus? Well, for me, this I would assume the central focus. And again, is that by design or is that by accident, right? Did you intentionally place it there? You think that's the most important element, or you just put them somewhere and then, right? I mean, so if it's by design, then it's great, right? I mean, it's intentional. If it's by accident, then of course you want to reconsider that, right? I mean, if Matt didn't intend that, oh no, I wanted this guy to have the central focus, then you need to do something slightly different here, right? Make it bigger, put some more white space around it, put it in the center. So again, if you want something to like stand out, what can you do? You can put it in the top left. That's our number one focus. Center can also work really well, but if it's in the center, you need some good white space around it, right? So, don't crowd it too much, otherwise center wouldn't work, right? So top left and center. And of course, in general, bigger is more important. If you have more space around it, that, I can also be drawn to that, things like that, right? So, and minimize the colors, right? So if you want to emphasize something, don't bloody hell put the background as red color or something gory like that. It's just, that's not maximizing data pixels, right? So a little bit goes a long way. All right, cool. Charts missing the title is confusing the data. There's a lot of cool data points. We'd like to see the context one on the first screen. Gray, 60% transform. Ooh, yep. So yeah, charts missing the title. I didn't even notice that. So Nishan, thanks for that. Yeah, chart titles are good. I'll admit I sometimes struggle with the chart title because sometimes I have the automatic title, which often looks so weird, especially if you have like tooltips and that sort of stuff or drill down. It just sometimes looks weird. And then I type it and customize it, but then I get into trouble because I copy paste and then forget it. But hey, that's just me. That's just me, right? So chart titles, yeah, is a good idea. Let me know if you do you like your chart titles centered or on the left? Which one do you prefer? Terrific. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Bit speed. I'm not sure what that is. Cool. Let's see. Anything else that you guys saw on the phone? Oh, there was some chat that I missed here. All right. Hey, I'm going to read this out. This is from Ansgar. He posted it earlier about Matt's dashboard and saying, hey, I'm still in awe that the piece of art took the two of you only a few months. Yeah. Pretty amazing. It's yeah. It has so many excellent ideas, small and big, about the business, the user interest, and make clear points per page. Thank you, Oscar, for the feedback. That's great. And yeah, Matt, that was something else. That was a treat. All right, cool. So let's move on to the next one. And the next one was, oops, didn't want to do that. Hold on, guys. I don't know what I'm clicking. Next one was sent by Bismarck Fuzi. So Matt, if you were watching online, just drop in a hello. Let me know what you thought. And again, good work. I mean, you have, as I said, I mean, you've done a lot of good analysis there. Let's go on to the next one. That one was sent by Bismarck. And let's see. And this is a set of screenshots. So guys, that is a great, safe way to share your dashboards for the dashboard makeover. You can send in screenshots, and we have the video on our page showing how you can turn out hide sensitive data. Why was that so hard to say, right? So if you go to dashboard makeover page, which we link to, just go to our site, right? I mean, free resources makeover. That's where to find it. And there, oh shoot. Yeah, there we have the link to the video to blur out sensitive segments too. So okay, cool. So let's look at this one. So this one is again by Bismarck, financial analysis All right, so I'm going to call it out right out of the bat. So again, guys, the focus is on maximizing the data pixels. Background data color is not data pixel. You want the data to shine. The background should just go away. It should be invisible, right? Um, I was thinking of an analogy. Who's a good person who goes away who's not there? I don't know. I'll think of something. So yeah, the background color is a little too garish for my taste. You can just remove that. And does it make it look good? The lens that I'm using is for operation reports. Would somebody want to look at it every day? Does it make the data shine? They care about the data. They don't really care if it looks good. Is it effective first, right? Form follows function. Yeah, form follows function, right? So I said that right. So it should be designed for that. And again, create dashboards by design, not by accident. Wait, what was that? Oh, cool. Oh, well, sorry, guys. Segue. One box and whisker charts. Maybe we'll come back and talk about this. I didn't realize I was in there. Let's see how we're doing over here. We're doing good. Okay, cool. Nice. All right, so yeah, the background color is a little too much. Let's start there. And so what's the first thing that's grabbing my attention? So again, this one is a little confusing. I would say the first thing that's grabbing my attention is this one because it's so stark, right? I mean, everything around is green and this one is white, so it just glues my eyes to it. So again, if that was the intent, then great. If that was not the intent, then it's a dashboard by accident, not by design, right? So again, what did you want them to focus on, right? You got to guide it. It's like a journey without you being there. So, so this is the central focus, it seems. And guys, pie charts and what is this called? Ring chart? Ring chart is just a worse pie chart, by the way. Not a huge fan of pie charts. You can read more in Steam View. Go watch our last dashboard makeover where we talked a little bit in more detail about that. But I'll cut to the chase, and what I'll say is that it's so again, what is the goal of a dashboard? The goal of the dashboard is to convey information as concisely, as effectively as it can. And pie charts are simply not very effective. So pie charts force humans to guess either the area or the angle, which we are horrible at that, right? And again, the thing is, we are much worse than we think we are. I mean, right? I mean, you would show them a pie chart of, let's say, I don't know, like 60-40, and they'll say, hey, guess what the proportion is, and they would guess a number, and you would say, hey, how confident are you? And they're like, oh, I'm really confident, and they'll be off, right? And of course, would one person guess it right? Sure, but yeah, so we're not really good at it. Let's admit it, right? We're not good at it, as opposed to like a length of something. Now, we are insanely good at this. In fact, the length of a line or something like that, length of a bar, this is processed in what's called pre-attentive processing. In a way, it's processed, you recognize it even before it kind of hits your brain, right? I mean, you don't have to think about it, brain doesn't have to process it, you automatically know that, yep, this is it, and this is about less than half, right? In fact, this is so precise that I'm told that, we can gauge differences, like with this line is taller than the other line, up to 2 pixels. That's pretty fine. That's how precise we are, right? So these ones are not very effective. So again, if it's central focus, great, but I would change it up. I would show something else, or I hope maybe it's something else with central focus. Okay, so we talked about that. Background color, we talked about that. And then what else? And again, so this thing is for my taste is a little too big. Again, it's not necessarily data. It's like secondary data. I mean, FYI, but it's way too big. It's almost stealing the show. So again, I mean, top left is most important. So I think that after this guy, my eye is going to this one, and I don't think that is definitely not valuable. So, or not as valuable. So I would probably make it smaller. And well, if you're gonna go with a green background, then dang it, color the whole thing green and call it good, right? I mean, because otherwise it calls too much attention to this. It pops out too much, and that one is certainly not valuable. Again, think of it right. Real estate. Think of yourself as a real estate mogul, right? Playing Monopoly, you're building things. forget Monopoly. So, all right. So that's that. That's good. The graph, January. Oh, this is really interesting. Like I'm looking at, I think it's showing a rolling 12 months, which I like. I really like. And I think this is just the default visual, but I like how it does the bar to kind of warn me that, oh, this is the boundary of an year. I think that's well, kudos to Power BI team. That's beautiful. I love that. Um, Another thing that Stephen Few talks about is the precision, right? So precision, and shoot, I can't quite read it. Is it commas? Is it decimals? But the precision seems to be off, right? So you don't want to show that many zeros. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's made up data. Um, but yeah, so yeah, actually I can read it here. Like you definitely don't need to show the point zero, even if it was like a real like point 3, point 4. Who cares if the numbers are that big? Then nobody cares about that, right? So imagine exaggerate the problem. Sometimes to think about it, like exaggerate. What if you showed 5 decimal points? Now that would be weird, right? That would be totally weird. But then yeah, so is 1 decimal point. So what's the right thing? I mean, do we show it in millions, thousands, stuff like that, right? So I think precision is the next thing I noticed. Uh, Overall, I would say that what I love about this one is that it's what I call the power pattern. We covered that in the last dashboard makeover, so I'll do it quick. Which is again such a simple pattern, but guys, it works. I'm convinced it works. You can argue otherwise. That's okay. Where I put high level numbers up top, then show some breakdowns, show some trends, and then show a little bit of detail. And that's almost always what I start with any client, any customer that I'm working with. And it's so simple. And especially if you're coming from, so a few of my students who are coming from Excel, they just have such a hard time stepping into this world of Power BI. And they step into it, but they end up creating a lot of pages which are just tables and tables and tables, right? So they're having a hard time getting out of that. If you are in the same boat, then use a power pattern, right? So again, you can see it on my tutorial. You can see it inside my course. So again, go to youtube.com/PowerBIPro on my site, and the tutorial shows you that. It doesn't call it out. It doesn't say that it's a power pattern, but you do see the example of that. I put high level numbers up the top, and then I show breakdowns. I show trends. Simple, right? So yeah. So my main tutorial, the 60-minute one, right on here. So in this one, what I liked was that I think it has those elements. It has kind of the high level numbers right here, and then it has kind of breakdowns. Well, trend. Well, maybe yeah, breakdowns. Well, this one is by program, so that's good. So it has that, and of course it has this stuff. So that's really good. That's you wanna start off there. It's a great area to start off as. Cool. That I've run out of stuff to say on this one. We're gonna look at not all the screenshots, but just some of them. Just get a feel. Oh, I'm actually. This could be good. Could be good. So let's see. Can we go back? So this was November to September. I'm trying to figure out what are the different pages about. So November to September, general financial analysis. Okay, and what is the next one? Is September 2019. Okay, so this is where. So Bismarck, if you're online, maybe help me out. Like I don't quite understand. So what I do is, so when I use the power pattern, one of my favorite techniques is I start off with a power pattern and I build something, and then I would keep the same pattern on different pages. So if I'm showing, now obviously I wouldn't show like year because you can use that as slicer, but I don't know. Let's say I'm showing different areas of business or something, right? And of course you can use that as a slicer as well. But let's say we're doing separate pages due to some reason. Then I would use the same pattern from one page to the next. Keep it really consistent, right? I mean, the same trend on the top or something like that, same high level numbers and so forth. If you keep it consistent, then across the multiple pages in the report, that's a huge help to your users. They don't have to reorient themselves every time they go to a different page, which is what I'm having to do. Now, again, I'm at a slight disadvantage because this is not for me. I mean, he didn't create for me, right? I mean, his audience is different. They would probably know more of what they're looking at. But still, if you keep it consistent, you can make it easier for them, right? So again, I mean, what I'm looking at is, see, some elements are consistent, but then some elements are not. And again, my brain kind of like is, what's, I mean, returning tuition fee is now here, earlier it was there. And again, maybe I'm missing something, which so give me a pass for that, Bismarck. Mm, yeah, so if you can be consistent, that would really help, right? So again, some elements are consistent, which is good, right? Because that means once they understand that element, it's like, oh, yep, this is percentage share by program, and this is the trend by year, and then they go to the next one. Oh, cool. Now I'm looking at the same thing, but just for whatever, different time period, a different company, something like that, right? So yeah, so it's halfway there. So I would say, yeah, I would give you kind of half points for that. Like some elements are consistent, some others are not. And if you can, and again, it depends on what your goal is, but sometimes what you can do is like have like the whole section consistent, but leave one section out with changes, right? And again, it doesn't have to be the bottom left, but or sometimes you keep the top section consistent, so like this one doesn't change, and as they go from page to page, then the bottom portion changes and adapts based on whatever that page is. So you can use some of those techniques, right? So cool. So yeah, I mean, this page is pretty similar, so I won't go specifically into each one. Is there something interesting? Yeah, so again, I mean, background color, I'm not saying you should never use it, but consider alternatives. Try it out. So again, if you want to demarcate a specific area, again, white space is the most powerful element. See if you can do it just by white space, just by adding more white space around it, right? And again, minimize your non-data pixels. So can you do it just by like a slight border? That's it. Sometimes it's all it takes, right? I mean, a slight small line here, that's all. Light gray line, that's it. You don't need anything more. And that's going to make it stand out and so forth, right? And if you really feel like you need background color, maybe just make it like slightly different shade, like different gray or color this one, right? So yeah, a little bit goes a long way. Mm, 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 mm. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely an interesting dashboard. Lots of cool analysis there. So good stuff. Hopefully, stuff that I shared, maybe hey, as I said, you found one thing of value, then that's good. Awesome, folks. So let's review on to the last one, which was, so we did the SkyTrack, and this was sent by Matthew. Oh, I have it open. All right. Oh. So box and whiskers. I said I'm going to talk about this. So this is I think this is this out of the box? Is it custom visual? It's a custom visual. So what is it showing? It's showing kind of a range of data, and I think you saw Matt show a version of this, where it didn't have what I call the whiskers, right? So if you remember what Matt showed, then it did have boxes like this guy, which showed the range of the data. Oops, but it didn't have what I call the whiskers. Now I'm not sure. I kind of like this. I really like it, but that may be slightly influenced. There was a time when I got my Six Sigma green belt, and I was trying to hang out with the Six Sigma black belts and all that stuff, and it was an exciting time. Learned some stuff, not enough maybe, but yeah. So that's where I was first introduced to box and whiskers, and if I remember it right, what this represents is it represents the 25th percentile, 75th percentile, and this is often the 5th percent. Well, actually, let's do it from the top. So 5th percentile, 25th percentile, 75th percentile, and 95 percentile. And I think the yellow dot is the median, which would be the 50th percentile, and I think the line there is the mean. And again, so if all of that was like what, then you know the problem with this, that depending on the audience, it can be overkill. It can be too complicated for them to understand. But for the right audience who knows, like, oh yeah, box and whisker, yep, then it conveys a lot of information in a very compact frame. So again, think about dashboard as real estate. So our goal is that to use visuals and design in such a way that communicates information in a compact, concise manner and does it effectively. So in that way, for an audience which does understand box and whiskers, it's an amazingly compact visual, conveys a lot of information, right? A lot of information, right? So if you think about this, then what stands out, right? So I mean, if you were just looking at one number, so imagine if it's just like a line chart, all you would see is that, oh, it's growing, great, right? But what else can you see here? Oh, I see this guy. I mean, like, why was this? I don't know what it was, whatever it was, month or something. Why is this so different, right? Why is it so different? And if you're in Six Sigma and stuff, and folks, I always get a little bit nervous talking about Six Sigma because um, well, I'm only a green belt, right? But when we would study a process, if you measure a process, right? Let's say, how long does it take us to close tickets? How long does it take us to set up a server, complete a sale, whatever, right? Then things often fall into what's called a normal curve, right? So what that means, well, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. What that means is that, so imagine the performance of students in a class or something, right? There are going to be some who are going to be kind of high performers, right? Who's going to be, you're going to score really high in the test. There are going to be some who are going to lag behind, but most people would fall in the middle, right? So that's what a normal curve is representing. And again, normal curve is actually seen in nature as well. If you go out and measure the height of sunflowers, I remember that because that was the exact example used in my Six Sigma book. If you go out and measure the height of sunflowers, it would fall in the normal range. Some would be really tall, some would be really short, but most of them would be, kind of that general in the mixed thing. So that's a normal curve, and often that's the starting point for if you're trying to improve a process, right? And what you do is first you see that if the behavior is normal. If it's not normal, if it's like skewed or something like this, right? Then you go into that. But even if it's normal, what you do is you can take a process which is this and make it kind of like this, which means it's more kind of precise now. It's more narrow. So earlier, if you called us, it could take us anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes for us to pick up a phone call, right? So that's the broad thing. But if you improve a process, it's not like now it's all 2 minutes, but now it takes us 10 minutes, or it takes us between 10 to 12 minutes. And that's, believe it or not, is an improvement because the process is more precise. Because once you have it's precise, then it's easier to kind of shift it down. If it's like all over the map, then it doesn't matter. So anyway, we went into a little bit of a deep dive there. But box and whiskers, it lets you see like that. Like, wow, there was something really different. The data collector was like a really narrow range. So what was different about that? So that's the kind of the strength of box and whiskers, but it packs in a lot of information, but that's also kind of its downfall. Cool. So that was that, and we're on to the last one that was sent in. And again, folks, if you want to submit your dashboards, reports for next time, just go to our website, learnpowerbi.com/makeover, and you can submit your entry there. And of course, it has the link that I was talking about. So the easiest way is to send in screenshots, and sometimes you can kind of blur out elements. You can do that, or filter down. Blur things out in a screenshot. That's the simplest way, right? All right, cool. So next up is Endrico, and I actually don't know what kind of dashboard this one is, so it'll be a surprise for me as well. I'm gonna grab some water. How are we doing time? Gosh, it's just 10:42. That's early for us. How's everybody doing? Let's see who's hanging out with me. Danny's saying not many golfers use 3 irons anymore, so there's probably not much data, hence the small range. There you go. I'm glad we have a subject matter expert. I have not ventured beyond mini. What is it called? Oh shoot. uh, is it called mini golf? Uh, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, we've done that with our kids, and that was fun. That was fun. Okay, Enrico, let's go. What are we looking at here? Oh boy, what happened to the screenshot? Let me zoom in. Growth and trend analysis. So for one, whew, thank God, I'm relieved this doesn't have a colored background. So yeah, good things there. But again, you've heard me talk about this, so it'll be no surprise. So again, we're scanning first from kind of top left. And again, I feel like putting slices here is just, it's prime real estate. Again, you're a real estate mogul now. That's how I want you to think. Like, oh yeah, this is my real estate, right? I'm gonna build skyscrapers here and build a mall over there. So yeah, you gotta be, again, it's dashboard by design, not by accident. All right, remember that. So yeah, so you're not gonna do stuff like this. That's prime real estate. Why waste it on slicers? You can easily put it here, anywhere else but there, right? So we'll give that to something which is more important. What is the main focus of this? I would say the main focus is this part. All right. Why? Because so frankly, I mean, element are like popping out, which is okay, And since we scan in this manner, I mean, this one is a bogus element anyway. So the next thing that the eye falls on is this. So I would say this is the emphasis of it, and of course, it is kind of delineated here as well. So again, you see that these lines can be effectively good. And again, you experiment, right, guys? There's no right or wrong here. You experiment and see what works for you. So, but again, the goal is to minimize the non-data pixels. So here, what you could try is that can you make the line a little bit thinner, right? I mean, right now it seems like, I don't know, 2 points, 3 points. Can you make it 1 point line? Would it still work? Can you make it a 1 point line and light gray? Would it still work? And again, if you do that and you say, nah, that's not working, then, well, brighten it up again. Make it thicker, 3 points, 2 points. Light gray doesn't work, try a darker gray, but kind of minimize, it goes away. All right, so I would look at that. And of course, even before that, you would say, hey, can I do that just using white space? Remember, the most powerful element in visualization design, white space, right? So if I just, if I kind of set it up a little bit more white space here, a little bit more white space here. Oh, and size is another great thing. Like, just make it a little bit bigger than the other elements or something like that. Right, so, and again, just experiment. There's no right or wrong, just try it. The key is to understand the underlying design principles, right? Otherwise, you're just throwing stuff together. Otherwise, it's dashboard by accident, right? So, and again, the book that I recommend is Stephen Few's Information Dashboard Design. So I would say the main focus is this one. And hey, is it nitpicking? Maybe it is, but I'm gonna do it anyway. All right. So again, kind of question every non-data pixel. Like, this background, does it really need to be there? Try it out, remove it, see if it works. Right. In my mind, it doesn't need to be there because look at the size of this text. It's pretty big. It's big enough that it calls it out that, hey, I'm important, right? Look at me, right? So I think the size itself works for it, so you don't have to do anything else. Now, I do like that the date here is smaller. Again, it's not really a data point. I mean, it's like kind of an FYI point, right? It's not a real data point. De-emphasize it by making it smaller, right? So that's good. That the background perhaps can be removed, and I think the use of colors is slightly confusing. So again, dashboard by design, not by accident. So color, you saw how Matt Brackin was doing it. Man, every goddamn thing was intentional. It was crazy. I mean, I was almost afraid of asking him, like, I don't want to trip him up. I don't want to, like, so, but every element we asked about, like, oh, what about the orange color? Oh, nope, that's intentional. That matches with the logo, everything matches up, right? I'm like, oh, what about the red color? Nope, yep, that's intentional, conditional formatting. That's how awesome Matt's dashboard was. Pretty amazing, right? So that was cool. But again, took some love. So here, so I was associating color with meaning. Color is intentional. Gosh, so it freezes me in the most awkward position when I zoom in. Live with that. All right, so earlier I was thinking that this color means something, and maybe it does, but I think it's slightly confusing because here I see purple. Actually, let's go here. So in here, this, I will call it purple. I'm sure my daughter would have a more refined name for this, mauve or something. I don't know. So 2018 is this color and 2019 is this color. So in my mind, I would say, oh, okay, 2018 is this color and 2019 is that color. But then I'm confused because 2019 has the color that is 2018 over here. So, again, really minor, but I would fix that because that's so easy to do. And of course, maybe the simplest way is just remove that background, see if that works, right? I mean, see if you can use like a slight line or something if you need it. Something like that. Try something out. If you do feel you need color, then it has to be intentional. Like, I'm not sure what you're trying to do. Is 2019 2018 purple, and then if it's 2019, then this guy needs to be blue, right? So they need to match up over there. Cool. And then maybe if you're doing headings in this purple color, then this heading should be probably the light purple too. And again, if you can remove it, probably better, right? So remove, or minimize, de-emphasize the non-data pixels. So cool. So again, let's rise back up a little bit. I dove a little bit too deep. So this one is the most important element. It seems it's actually two elements, but that's okay since it's kind of outlined by this line. And again, this can be a powerful element to delineate things. It's right, really strong. It groups these two together for me, right? So in my mind, these two are like intimately related. Which I assume they are. So it's showing revenue, and it's kind of a breakdown. I like that. And then it's showing detail. So the one thing, again, I would go back to my power pattern that I talked about. High level numbers at the top, breakdown, trends, and a little bit of detail. So what's missing here? There are no high level numbers, right? The high level numbers are kind of hidden away in this total thing, right? So I don't do that. Again, if you watch my tutorial, I put them way up top and like big bold cards, right? So it's missing those high level numbers. Like, just give me the takeaway. Did we do good or not, right? So what I would do is probably take some of these cards and put them up top and just color them, condition formatting, whatever, right? So it's like, oh yeah, look, our goal was this is what we got, and it didn't work. Or revenue this year was this, revenue last year, and over here we're down. So I would put some high level numbers up there. But otherwise, it has the breakdown. It has a breakdown. It has a trend. So it has all the good elements of the power pattern. So we're doing good over there. Let's see. I think the year column, sorry, it's a little hard to see. That's how the screenshot I got. I think the year column is redundant. It's the same damn thing, 2019. It doesn't repeat. And, maybe you can put it somewhere. Oops. You can put it somewhere in the title or somewhere. Make it obvious that's year 2019, and then you don't have to show this one. Month, I think you can shorten that. Just show the 3 letters, Jan, Feb, March. That's usually okay. Precision, we talked about in the last one. I think that's way too much precision. For numbers this big, you can probably don't have to show like the individual dollar, right? So, yeah, that's would be mine. Wise, year to date, percentage looks good. Conditional formatting looks good. Month over month. Oh, that's really interesting. So some interesting metrics here, guys. So that's really cool. I like that. So year over year is comparing it with the prior year, and the month over month, I assume, is comparing like February with January and March with February and so forth. So good. I mean, they give you different ways, and I think depending on the numbers here, again, you can reduce the precision here, probably to a single decimal point, right? So just small stuff there. All right, let's move on. So that was So that was that. Ring charts and pie charts are not going to get much love from me, but hey, not that I have never used them. So I have used them. I'll let it slide. What I would say is do try this in a bar or a column chart. And again, they're a lot more precise. Right? The goal of the dashboard is to communicate data effectively on a single screen. By the way, we also talked about last time, why is it so important to get everything on a single screen? Does that mean you're going to have a single page in your Power BI file? No, but you understand that why one page should have a goal and should serve that. A user shouldn't have to flip back and forth between 2 pages or scroll or something like that to get the insights for that one goal. So I would say I would encourage you to try bar charts, column charts, guys. So by the way, my staple is the line chart, bar and column chart, table, and matrix and all that stuff is kind of table for me, cards, and actually that's it, right? So yeah, if you look at Power Pattern, that's all that it has, and that's what I start off with probably 98% of my clients, and it goes okay. You can always add stuff. You can always throw in stuff with custom visuals or whatever you want to do, zoom charts, right? But that, starting point, keep it clean. And again, do it with intention. If you're bringing in a custom visual, be very aware of why are you bringing this? Why is a standard visual not enough? Right? What is specifically you're looking to do, right? So by design, not by accident, not because it just looks cool. I just threw it on there. I thought it was going to look cool. All right, so let's see here. So this is a combo chart. January, yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's showing the revenue and year to date. Year to date, I'm not sure. So year to date, I guess, is a comparison of how we were doing compared to last year to date. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about it. I guess no comment. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the next page there. All right, so guys, apologize. The screenshot is as it came in. Very interesting. So some of the same comments. Top left, most important real estate. So actually, this one is a little weird because I thought it was all slicers, but it's not. It has some information there. So you forget about that. It's in the top left. What's the most important element in visualization design? White space, right? So if you think about this, what's happening here is, again, in my mind, I didn't even think about it. I just assumed that these are all slicers. I had to look closer to figure out that no, they're not all slicers. There's actually some information being shown here. So again, we can use white space where we can take this guy and move it a little bit closer to this one so that the brain combines these two. Like, oh, look, this is a cluster. And then leave a little bit of white space here so the brain thinks, oh, look, there's a gap. That means this element is something different, right? I mean, that this is a new element. So I think we can simply use white space. But I think boxing the numbers in, so this box that I'm talking about, numbers in with the slicers feels a little weird. So I would question that. I mean, and again, slicers, you can probably throw it somewhere here, right? Top left is the most valuable real estate for you. Use it for something good, right? All right, cool. So by the way, I think so. We were talking about power pattern, and I was talking about high level numbers, and I would assume that it does have like the high level numbers there, but they're almost being kind of hidden. There's too much going on in this dashboard, so I think they need some love as well. So if this is again kind of the high level numbers that you want them to highlight a little bit more, you can make it bigger. Obviously, if you move the slicer there, then they get a chance to move kind of in this section, but I would probably make them a little bit bigger too. There are really other elements are competing fiercely with this one, almost taking every emphasis away. Like, frankly, my eye didn't go to that if I did the squint test. So actually, if you do the squint test, it's kind of weird. I don't know what the focus of this is. I would say the focus seems to be a lot of this. So again, we focus on graphs a lot more than text. So even though this is like prime real estate, and this is kind of important too, but we always would go on charts. So in my mind, I would say the focus is kind of going on these, and of course, again, see what I did. I didn't call out a single element, right? I didn't say this one. Why? Because they're all kind of alike. And remember, when you put things that are alike, the brain is going to clump them together. So in my mind, this is like one unit. So I'll perceive this as a unit, and then I'll have to go deeper and understand that, which one is important. And in there, I would probably say this is the most important. Why? Because we scan this way, right? Remember that. So I think this could use some love, like, hey, what is more important, and so forth. And I don't know, if it's this, then we were going to make it bigger. If it's one of these guys, then maybe some white space or something, right? But cool. Let's move on. And again, the colors feel a little random, right? I mean, it's red and yellow and blue and purple. And to confuse things even further, some of these colors seem to match with the data elements, right? So it's purple, I don't see, right? I mean, this red is kind of seen here in 2018 and all that. So of course, I mean, so I don't think we need that. I mean, you don't really need colors to let people know that these are different graphs. I mean, they know that automatically. These are different graphs. If you want to tell them what it is, then the title is doing that for you. So again, non-data pixel, de-emphasize or remove. And I think this, in this case, probably the background can be removed. And again, if you want more emphasis on the title, just make it bigger, right? That's simple, right? So simple is usually good. So I'll do that. And then so trend, payload, megabytes, good graph, looks good. I mean, it definitely has like strong bones, I would say. It has some high level numbers, which is probably this and this. And I would make them, if they are really, if they are indeed the high level numbers and important, then I would make them bigger, put them here in cards. So again, high level numbers, breakdown, trends, detail. And in a way, it has all of that, right? It has kind of the trends here and then the detail table over here, right? So so this looks good. I mean, this, and again, I mean, if you, so the fact that they're kind of similar is a good thing, right? They're each showing a trend and they're consistent. But I just realized that there's a glaring error in this one. Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't. Okay. Well, it's something that's off, and I want to make sure, guys, you guys are seeing this because sometimes it hides the lower elements. So let's see. How do I do this? All right, so, and again, guys, this is a screenshot that I got. So, guys, once I point it out, you will absolutely notice it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So, notice that this graph goes from January through December, January through December, January through December, January through September. Oh my gee, you cannot do that, right? So again, you're gonna fool people. They're not gonna realize it. Yeah, you're making them work way too hard to by throwing that wrench in the works, really, right? Because what's gonna happen is when we so by the way, usually when you put graphs like this, what you need to do is you need to think about the elements that you're lining up vertically, right? These two and these two. Typically, because when you line them up vertically and they have the same axis like these guys do, what that does, it makes it easier to compare visually, right? So I can scan, since I know that I'm looking at January, I can, in my mind, I can almost draw a line here and say, oh cool, I mean I'm looking at January and yep, trend did this, trend average did this, right? So you get my point here, right? So I can kind of compare those a little easily together. So that's why you line them up, and you're gonna set people to fail, to make the wrong interpretations if you end up with something like this. So if you do January to September, they may not notice, and you can't blame them, right? I mean, they might just assume that, oh look, I mean the last point is December, and they're gonna just correlate this point with these 2 points, right? I mean, I wouldn't blame them if they didn't pay attention to that. Oh my gosh, this axis is different. It only goes through September. No, it's not their job. It's our job, right? So I think that one definitely needs to be fixed. So folks, yeah, if you're showing things like this, so by the way, if you want things to be compared side by side, then use the, I frankly always mix them up. What are they called? Are these the bar charts, column charts? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about, right? So use these. So if you put 2 elements here with the same axis, then people can compare them back and forth, right? If you want to compare, if they're vertical elements, if they're vertical, then use the vertical bar chart. Yeah, so if you draw it this way, then they can compare these 2 elements together, right? I mean, if you draw it horizontally, then they can compare it side by side, right? So whichever ones you want them to kind of compare side by side and correlate, you do it that way. But in a line chart, of course, vertical, right, they're going back and forth. So September one is not good. That would throw them off. Something similar here, probably you can take it off. And yeah, precision and stuff, we talked about that. Oh my gosh, that was incredible, folks. So again, hopefully you learned one thing of value from me or for something. And of course, again, a huge thanks to Matt Brackin for showing us a dashboard by design. That was mind-blowing. And thanks to Matthew for sending the golf track data. Thanks to Endrico for sending the finance, and thanks to Bismarck as well for sending the financial dashboard. If you and hey, this thing runs on you, my friends, right? This, you're the fuel for this. So so next time we run this, make sure to submit your dashboards for the dashboard makeover, and it's a double win, right? So you get to showcase your work to a worldwide audience, and hopefully, again, if I can share one thing of value, which I actually felt proud that I was able to add one thing. I felt really proud about the Matt Brackin feedback about highlighting the tile that you're on. Oh man, that was good, right? All right, so yeah, if you can learn one thing, and you know what? But well, yeah. So what I'll say is that if you're watching all of this or any of the other stuff that you watch on the internet, and if you feel overwhelmed, don't. Right? That's the biggest hurdle that I see that people face, especially who are starting out. You get overwhelmed. You get. Oh, man, there is so much to learn, and it is not a good feeling. The challenge with overwhelm is, so guys, I get overwhelmed with the online communication somewhat quickly. So let's say I can read 5 emails a day. All right, so 5 emails a day, I can do it, no big deal. 5 emails, you send me 5 emails a day, I can process through that. But for me, what happens is if I start getting 10 emails a day, what's my performance, you think? What do you think I'm doing? Am I trying extra hard? Maybe I'm getting 6 emails a day. Maybe I'm at least getting 5 emails a day. But no, something incredible happens, incredibly bad, which is I shut down. I'm now scared of my email. I'm scared of looking at my inbox. And I don't step in there, and my productivity goes to zero emails per day. And of course, unfortunately, I see people go through the same thing with Power BI. Well, they step in and they start seeing the monthly updates and the custom visuals. I remember the lady who said, "Oh, and I'm gonna try out every custom visual," and I'm like, "No, gosh, don't." Right? So and that's a good way to lose your way, right? So less is more. All right, come on, take a deep breath if you're feeling overwhelmed. Less is more. Less is more. All right. So and frankly, folks, that's my philosophy, not just for Power BI. That's become my philosophy for life. So I'm also trying to implement Agile in my life. And I got to tell you the story of my Agile vacation. It was a blast. I hope my family will agree with me. Like, dude, Dad, that was disaster. No. So yeah, guys, less is more. You run around trying to learn everything and do everything. I don't think that's the way out or up. Right? It just doesn't work. Of course, closely related to that is this idea of working hard and working through these walls. And I know the feeling. I mean, sometimes I would have like my work piling up, and what is the instinct? What is my or what were my instincts trained to do at that time? I was trained to lean in, right? So I would say, "Oh my, there's so much work," and I remember feeling like having this conscious thought that I'm gonna stay here. I'm going to stay here all night if I need to until the work is done. But guess what? Usually, you need to do the opposite. And yes, you're going to resist it. If you would talk to me then, I would have resisted it. But it's usually the best thing you can do, which is lean back, man. Give yourself some room. Fucking breathe, right? We forget to breathe, right? Or we're not aware. We're not aware of ourselves. Right? So, by the way, we do this. We do this thing. I call it the power of 60 seconds. So Marianne, most of you, anybody who send me an email. By the way, I talked about being overwhelmed by communication. The only way I can survive and keep my head above the water is thanks to Marianne. So she's been pretty incredible. And anybody who's kind of emailed me or contacted me through any channels knows of her. So when we meet, we do this. Every meeting we start with 60 seconds of silence, you can call it. And yeah, the idea is just to close your eyes and you can do whatever you want, but the goal is to focus on just the present moment, just that I'm here and now, right? I mean, and man, I feel so powerful. And I'll admit that we have talked about, like, should I start the Talk Power BI sessions that day? that way, or would that be too weird? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I haven't found the courage yet to to start off a Power BI session that way and say, "Oh, guys, all right, let's just start with 60 seconds of silence and focus on yourself and focus on your breathing. I want you to feel fully present. You are here. Say to yourself, I am here." And just feel that breath go in and out and feel the power of that, and you're fully present. And man, it just, every time it makes the meetings go so much better. And of course, I'm also trying to incorporate that into my whole day. uh, it's a work in progress, but the idea is to every hour you take 60 seconds out and just do the same thing. And the idea is so simple. So if you think about it, it's taking 1 minute to make you better for the other 59 minutes. Take 1 minute out, and it's going to be the better you for the 59 minutes. All right, cool. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't. Less is more. Focus on the core concepts and visualization. Well, I do love it, and I frankly I want to learn more. So this I'm doing it partly to learn, and to teach is always to learn. Frankly, I want to go back to these videos I've been doing and frankly kind of crystallize it, say what the heck am I, note down what the heck am I saying, and maybe translate that to lessons inside our course. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, less is more. Start with a 60-minute tutorial. Doesn't get easier than that, guys. It's a great tutorial. I don't know what to say. I mean, hundreds of comments. Thank you, by the way. I think it's getting close to like 200,000 views or something crazy. Thanks for that as well. So that's the first video in this playlist.
Welcome
Yeah, start
to
there.
the latest
And yeah, so the funny thing is, a lot sometimes we get these emails and people are like, "Oh, Avi, I mean, why should I enroll in your course, not this Udemy course? And that's just $10." And I hope I haven't actually replied to somebody like this, but sometimes in my mind, I like want to reply saying, "Well, if you're considering that $10 Udemy course, then you're not ready for mine. I mean, you haven't got an idea. You haven't gone deep enough to realize that what is it you really need, that kind of stuff." And Sahil, or Power BI Jump Roper, or Jump Roper Power BI Professional. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. Which one is his true identity? You met him a few times. He's part of the family, and he talked about this, and others have said that. So he said, "Avi, I mean, I enrolled in a course, and man, I watched 3 hours of that, and I felt like you had more value in half of this tutorial, more than that, 3 hours on Udemy." I'm not dinging that. I'm sure there are great courses out there. If it works for you, hey, if it works for you, it's awesome, right? You don't need anything else. If that works for you, great. But of course, we do things slightly differently. You know that by now, right? So we focus on kind of the core concepts. We dive in there. We focus on learning by doing. We want to enable you to do that, to actually apply the concepts, and we do it together. Oh my gosh, I love our Learn Power BI family. All right, cool. So let's see, how is everybody hanging out? And
Hey, Avi, quick
hey,
question.
Sahil, you are on. Oh my God,
Oh yeah,
it's
I've been on for a while.
close to midnight for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't miss these
yeah.
calls.
Always glad to have you on, man. How are you doing?
Hey,
Hey,
I'm
hey.
doing good.
Yeah, all right, cool. Do you have a webcam you can turn on? Are you in a spot where you can
Uh,
turn it on?
so I'm not sitting on a spot where I can turn it on, but
Okay,
maybe next time.
up to you. All right, cool. Yeah.
Right, it's a quick question. So, I did enroll for the program, and I just don't have the time right now, and this particular month. So I'm
Okay.
thinking, is there a way that I can skip the first tutorial, which is the first chapter, which is basically
Zero to
the
dashboard. Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
because I've already done this the YouTube one.
Uh. Yeah. So that's just the expanded version of that, but you can absolutely skip it. And hey, so here's what I've seen. There's no right or wrong. So what I've seen is that people approach it in usually a few different ways. Some students go lesson by lesson. Some students kind of hunt and peck, and they would say, you know what, I don't care about any of this. I'm just gonna go to the DAX chapter, right? And that works too. I'm not gonna judge. Yeah, I would say yeah, you can absolutely kind of skip that and go to whichever ones you're working with or you're interested in, or yeah, skip the first one and then do them sequentially. It's all good. There's no wrong way to do it. Yeah, I just want you to go through that, apply it, and then when you get stuck, come back to the community, come back to these calls, and get help to get over that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome. So, folks, by the way, I'm also. So I've been talking to people, and I've started to definitely not like the term work life. Now, if you think about it, what the heck does that mean? Does that mean I'm not alive when I'm working? Is that not life? Is that not living? Is it that bad? And of course, I don't buy that at all, right? I mean, I think there is a way. There is a way to do what you love and love what you do, right? So the work life thing isn't. Yeah, I don't see it as different, and yeah, because so one line that I heard was, "Oh, I bring my whole self to work and I bring my whole self home." So right, it's the same me. So we're only kind of as good as good at work as good as you are in person, right? So and so this of course was taught to me by my coach when I started this business, and he said, Avi, your business is only going to be as good as you, so make sure to kind of take care of yourself, right? Improve yourself. And I really focused on that, and as part of that I meditate. So that's I get up in the morning and I meditate. And so, of course, those who are in the course, they have seen me kind of talk about this, where I talk about this cycle. What do we call it? Learn, do, fail, win. I think that's what the different. So learn, do, fail, win, and I drew it as a cycle. And learn, do, kind of fail, win, and you repeat it. And the faster you can repeat it, the more times you can repeat it, the more awesome you get. Right? Simple, simple, simple. And that's agile BI as well. Right? So agile, quick cycles. And of course, I have kind of talked about it where the real win happens at this fail stage. So that feels so frustrating, right? We get so riled up, but I don't think we should. I think we can approach it in a different way. I think you can approach it with curiosity. So of course, when I see like a problem, I've talked about the analogies that I use. For me, it's a murder mystery. So I grew up reading Hercule Poirot. so for me, it's like, oh my gosh, and this is gonna get a little bit gory, but I've talked to a few whom I've helped on the calls, and where I say, guys, the fun part is when the person leaning over the body with a knife dripping with blood is not the murderer, right? Not the killer, as often happens in those spy novels, right? So we're doing Power BI and something with like, oh look, this thing is wrong because of this relationship, but it's not that, it's something else. But I love those things because again, it's like a murder mystery from like, oh, what are the clues and let's solve it. Let's rule out this suspect because they have an alibi or something like that. Man, I love it. I love that adventure. Do I get frustrated at times? Yeah, sure, I do. But yeah, but I think I can see it differently because that is where the real learning comes from. When you're stuck there, now of course you have to get over it, so that's important. That's where we want to make sure that there's help in the community and so forth, right? But that's where the real learning is, right? So, all right, so hold on to that, and we're going to switch into meditation. And oh gosh, I can't remember the name of this guy. I don't know. I forget the name, but he talked about a similar cycle for meditation, believe it or not, right? So let's try this. Is it working? All right, cool. So he talked about the similar cycle for meditation, and let's see if I can do it right. So meditation, cycle, 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 cycle. I may not get all 4 steps right, so but what starts with is focus on your breathing. Breathing is often involved in a lot of forms of meditation. It's not exclusively. I'm sure there are other ways to meditate without focusing on breathing, but let's use that one. So you focus on your breathing, and again, you have your eyes closed, and you're just focus on your breath, and it's going in and out. And there are different ways to do it. There's this box breathing that I've tried. And no, you don't you don't breathe into a box. So it's a different thing. But you're focused on breathing. But inevitably, what happens is, so I remember I was talking to my sister about meditation, this that. But she said, "Oh, but my mind always wanders." And I said, "Oh, well, yeah, it kind of does, and it sucks." Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I struggled with the same thing, but I think I was missing the point. So this guy, he's a Buddhist monk, by the way, and so he says you focus on your breathing, and then there's something happens. Your mind wanders. And the funny thing is, it's kind of one of those things like you don't realize when you're falling asleep, right? You don't, yeah, we're like sleepy, 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 and then we're gone, knocked out, right? And maybe we dream and we remember our dreams, but that moment where we fall asleep, I don't think we realize that. We never do, right? That's just how it is. So when actually the mind wanders, the minute it happens, the second, the microsecond it happens where you're focusing on your breathing 1 second and then you're wandering something else, think about work or whatever, life, you don't notice that moment, right? And then you're wandering for a long time, right? And that is equivalent to your failure. And then you come back and then you say, "Oh man, look at me, I can't even do this right. This is not worth it. It's not working. I'm never going to be able to do this. This sucks." Whatever, right? We say a lot of bad things. And then we try to kind of refocus on breathing, right? Think about this, guys. It's the same cycle. Learn to fail, win. And if I say that Power BI, the real learning comes in that fail step, the real meditation is this step. Is this step which drives people crazy. Which is what my sister was saying, that, "Oh yeah, I've tried it, it doesn't work," right? It is this step. Without this step, there wouldn't be any meditation. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's insane. I'm like, oh my God, this fits with my learn to fail win cycle. But here's the trick. Here's the trick. That is a step that is crucial to meditation. The most important step. But there's something that you need here, which you need in the Power BI learning cycle as well. And what you need there is love, my friend. All right? You need a little bit of love for yourself. That's what's going to make it work versus make it a train wreck and not make it work and make you going to quit. Which is when you realize that your mind has wandered, right? Then you're not going to say any mean things to yourself. No, not even slightly, right? I mean, you're not going to say, "Oh, damn it, I was just wasted some," whatever, right? Whatever negative things. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to just bring it back to your breathing, but with a lot of love, as you would a child, right? So well, I mean, my kids are grown up now, so I can think of my dog, right? I mean, he wants to go places, but then I just bring him back. I'm like, no, right here. I want him to walk next to me, right? So that's it, with a lot of love. That's the key ingredient. If you don't do that, then yes, it's not going to work. You're not going to get the benefit out of it, right? So isn't it weird that the part that we seem to struggle with the most is what's most crucial, is what keeps it going? But yeah, my friends, you do need that little bit of love, right? So if you have those thoughts where, "Oh, this is so hard, I can't do it, da-da-da, look at them, they're so good, look at Matt, he built that dashboard in a few months, I'm so horrible," man, you got to shut that voice the hell up, all right? It's not helping. It's not a freaking race. You're not competing with Matt or me or anybody else, right? It's your own journey, and I want you to own it, right? So yeah, it starts with yourself. And by the way, has anybody read that book? Oh shoot, what is the name of the book? Okay, I'm gonna. Maybe I should not do it, boys. It's about the UW boys who won gold in Hitler's Germany. Anybody about the boys? About the boys, maybe? Something about the boys. Boys in the Boat. Boys in the Boat. By the way, guys, great book. Incredible book. Boys in the Boat. Yep, that is it. So Boys in the Boat, beautiful book, beautiful story. But there's this one character whose name I can't quite recall, but it is their boat builder. And so, folks, on this call, we have talked about flow. Do you remember that? We've talked about it most recently with Sahil. Oh, come on, Boys in the Boat. I wanted to pull it up. Boys in the Boat. Great. So we've talked about flow. What is flow? Flow is when I lose myself in a Power BI model, right? And weird things happen. Weird things happen when I'm in flow. Well, by the way, it's a scientific term, right? I'm like, it's not my term. It's a scientific term. And for one, you lose the sense of time. You lose the sense of time, and it's crazy, right? I mean, I could be working on something, and I hear this from people all the time, like, "Yep, I was working all weekend," and they would do it happily, right? So you lose the sense of time, and then it actually makes you more productive. It actually makes you smarter. Really, you see more connections, and they say that if you're in flow, and athletes get into flow as well, right? And they say that they are a few seconds ahead of the game. That's crazy, right? Think about it. I mean, think about you playing basketball. You're a few seconds ahead of everybody. That's like insane advantage, right? So, and of course, and we can get into flow and out of flow, into flow and out of flow. They can be like micro flow states. They can be macro flow states where we can be for hours or something like that, right? So in my mind, when I'm in flow, then man, my brain is just fighting, and I see connections. And so when I was consulting, so now of course we connect you. If you look to me for consulting, most likely we're going to connect you with one of our Pro Plus students, right? So we help you connect with our whole community of Power BI professionals in our Learn Power BI program. But when I was consulting, we would have my I would be sharing my screen on the projector. I don't know why that was so hard to say. So because the idea was to train while I was consulting, while I was building a solution for them, I would put that up on the screen so they can see what I'm doing, and I would think out loud. But funny things would happen because I would do something, and at that point, like I'm still writing maybe my first measure, but I know the solution. So I can see, kind of many steps ahead. And it felt weird. And of course, it felt weird because I would like look around and I would like, are you guys not seeing this? And they weren't seeing it, right? And I'm like, it's so obvious, but it was only obvious to me, right? And of course, Sahil and I shared that moment when we were working on this calendar problem. I remember that, and I remember Jen was pleased that we got excited about this nerdy stuff, and I did a duplicate calendar, and I knew that in that instant that Sahil saw what I saw, right? I mean, it was like, yep, I can see all the way to the end solution. So these really interesting things happen in Flow. So by the way, folks, I mean, if you find flow with Power BI, great, good for you. I hope you're doing the work where you can find this flow state. And I've been kind of on this quest of this discovery, this self-improvement. And of course, flow is something which can propel you to amazing heights. For one, flow makes you 5 times more productive. That means you can walk in on Monday, do the work, and then go home, take the rest of the week off. Now, of course, you probably can't pull that off. But think about it another way. Who's the guy? Oh, shoot. Malcolm Gladwell. So Malcolm Gladwell has this theory of that if you want to be an expert in something, it's going to take 10,000 hours, right? So anybody who's following me, you know about this rule. And is it like precisely 10,000? Do you need 10,000 before you start helping people? That's a whole other story. I think you can start it on the day one, right? So you don't have to wait 10,000 hours. But if you think about it, obviously you win 1/5 of the time, which is 2,000, right? So so that's how incredible flow can be. So if you can find some work where you can get into flow states, then it's awesome. And of course, one thing that generates that flow state is passion. And then the funny thing is that the guy researcher who worked on this is a passion. Like it's like I don't really care about passion. The only reason I care about passion is because it sharpens your focus. It sharpens your focus. That's it. That was the only concern. Like, I don't care if you're passionate or not, but well, passion kind of helps because it sharpens your focus, and that is a key ingredient in flow, in initiating flow states. But so what I've been doing is, and some of it on these calls, is that I've been talking to people about the state. Like, have you felt that way? Have you felt where time kind of disappeared? Like, and of course, I often get like, yeah, most people have experienced the state in doing something or the other, right? Doing their work or maybe the hobby or sports or something like that. They have felt that, and of course, recently, Dr. Sile, and I asked him. So he's our Power BI jump roper or jump roping Power BI professional, one of those. and I asked him about his jump rope, and he said, "Yep, I felt that." And I was a little hesitant in asking about Power BI, but I remember what he said. I feel like he's passionate enough about Power BI that has kind of been triggered for it as well, because he talked about spending his Saturdays, and he said he's never done that before, never taken time out like that. So that's awesome. But now, of course, I'm talking to everybody I can. And so one of my friends practices yoga, and I asked her, like, hey, I mean, and this might sound silly, but have you experienced something like this where time disappears? And she came back pretty excited. She's like, yeah, I have. And I was, oh, I'm so happy. Yeah. By the way, this is called flow state. Here, check it out. Right? There's more here. And then I was talking to somebody else, and we were talking about dancing, and how, yeah, I mean, sometimes you could be dancing and time disappears. I'm like, whoa, yeah, exactly. And so guys, I know we're kind of down in a rabbit hole, but I don't know. I get excited about this stuff. So folks, we've been talking about flow, and by the way, there's also this thing called team flow. So there's this individual flow, and there's also this team flow where the whole team just syncs and snaps together. And of course, I mean, you become this super uber team. I wouldn't go into that today, but yeah, that idea is really incredible as well. And of course, I feel like, can you do it in a large group? Possibly you can, but at least for me, I think it's easier in a smaller group. And I feel like kind of a pro plus group, right? So these are the folks who are focused on, hey, helping them become successful Power BI consultants. That's a small group, less than 20. So I feel like, yeah, sometimes we've kind of hit that stride where on calls and things like that, we kind of feel completely in sync. All right, so I'm just going to make one more connection with the boys in the boat thing and the whole overwhelm and everything else that we were talking about, and I'm going to close that out. So boys in the boat, there's a character. If you read the book, and okay, so Jim Wade is second in the book. Thank you, Jim. There's this character, and maybe Jim, you would remember the name, and he's the boat builder. And man, not just any boat builder. He's like the boat builder that is sought across the world. Like, people know him and seek him out, right? So he's like this world-renowned guy. And that guy is something else. Frankly, the book, I mean, I wanna for myself, I wanna just take out like the chapters and lines where they're talking about him, the boat builder, if I can remember his name. They're incredible. And of course, just by reading, and of course the book doesn't say that, oh, this guy was in a flow state, but I can feel it totally 100% that guy got into the flow state when he was building boats. So by the way, another thing that happens, if you get in a flow state with like physical things, like if you were a swordsman, right, or something like that, then what happens is you not only lose the sense of time, you lose the sense of self. And that, I'll admit that, when I'm dancing and I feel that, then yeah, I mean, you lose, so yeah, you lose the sense of self. It becomes a little kind of a little bit transparent, a little bit not as firm, right? Oh, this is me. I mean, you feel connected with everybody else on the dance floor, and yeah, of course, man, it means incredible, right? So a swordsman would feel one with the sword. So you might have heard athletes and stuff talk about that, right? Where yeah, they feel one with that thing. And of course, you can hear it in this guy's language where whatever tools he was using, or even the boat, he felt kind of one with the boat. And of course, in your flow, weird stuff happens where writers talk about, where like, I didn't write it, I just channeled it, right? I mean, sculptors or even boat builders, they would say like, I didn't build it, it was there, I just uncovered it, right? I mean, they talk about stuff like that. So anyway, all right, so this guy had this wonderful quote, which was, he talked about water, and I'm gonna mess it up slightly, but the idea was that the water that we struggle against, oh shit, I'm gonna write it down. The water that we struggle against. Are you ready for this? Man, this is like some wisdom. Water that we struggle against is also what keeps us afloat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? Who is this guy? This is crazy. And is he talking about rowing? Or is he talking about life? Which one is it, right? And think about this. What we struggle against is also what keeps us afloat. Learn, do, fail, win. What we struggle against is also what keeps us afloat. We meditate and our mind wanders. What we struggle against is also what keeps us afloat. Enjoy that stuff, my friends, right? I mean, sometimes if you're struggling against something, maybe that's what you need. All right. Boy, that was a whole rabbit hole, but I don't know, guys. I mean, of course, I enjoyed it. I love this stuff. So hopefully, again, if you learned one thing of value from that whole monologue, then that's good. That's good, right? Perfect. So I'm not sure. Do we want to switch over to Power BI questions? I suppose we can. We can if you're in that mood. Or did I like ruin it for you by talking about life and stuff? So let's go to the phones, and folks, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. If you have any questions on the on YouTube, go ahead and type it in, and yeah, I'll wait for that. Okay, let's see. All right, so cool. Man, so I've talked to Charles. Sometimes you go in these things, I almost don't want it to end. All right, so I don't see any questions on YouTube.
Hey, I have a question.
Hey, Sile. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I was watching a YouTube video yesterday. So it's about Power BI data flows, and so
Which
it was a
one?
new
Power BI?
data flows. So it's apparently
Yeah.
some sort of a new functionality that.
Yes.
Can you talk about it? So,
Uh.
because from what I heard from that
Yeah.
video
Sure.
was that it's a it's a way of sort of instead of going back to your IT guys to add data to your data set, it basically changes that you do on your Power Query. You you can let that so that particular query can be used by anyone else in the organization as well when they're
Yeah.
making their data models. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll share kind of the way I understand data flows, and so the way I see data flows is, if you think about it, if you think about what Power BI models can do, is if you have a Power BI model, which is basically a PBIX file, right? Then you can publish it, and then that becomes, in a way, the single source of truth. What that means is you can then connect other reports to it, right? So you can connect other Power BI reports to it, you can connect other Excel reports to it, you can connect SSRS to it. Heck, if you wanted to, you could connect Tableau to it, right? So it's all coming from the same source, which of course brings in a lot of sanity. Now, if you look at it from a different perspective, imagine, so this is from the end user's perspective, right? It makes things simpler for the end user. But what about Power BI authors? So often in a big organization, there are lots and lots of authors. They can be hundreds of authors. Now, again, what I often say is usually one good Power BI author can cater to about 1,000 end users, which is kind of crazy. So if you have an organization of 1,000, you probably are only going to have like a handful, right? One, maybe two or three. Initially, maybe there are more, but usually one person kind of ends up specializing in that, and they kind of get ahead of the curve. Yeah, one in 100, one in 1,000, something like that. So there are only going to be few, but again, for a large organization, that can mean 20, 30, 50, 100, maybe more people, right? So if you have lots of people kind of creating their own models, then they're going through the same steps. They kind of go to the query editor and then get data and then kind of transformations and that sort of stuff, right? So what that does is kind of centralizes that stuff for the Power BI authors. So you don't have to do all of this. There is this one data flow which is published by whatever, somebody who has the permissions for that or something, right? And it would say, so, oh, you want sales data? Here's the data flow for getting sales data. And that is going to encapsulate everything, like how it connects to the data source, what transformation days, and so forth. So what it does is standardize. And of course, you can, kind of do similar things for like calendar table, standardize a calendar table. Everybody uses this. So yeah, that's the way I see data flow. So for organizations which have lots of Power BI authors, it just makes it that, oh, yep, this is the standard way to do it. And then instead of get query editor, get data transformation, doing the same things, different people doing the same things again. Of course, if you have multiple models, you're doing the same things again. You can just say get data from this Power BI flow, and that encapsulates the whole logic. Of course, that can be updated as well over time and so forth. So yeah, that's the way I see data flows. Hopefully, it helped.
Yeah, it did.
All right,
So
thanks, Green.
have
Yeah.
you have you heard about any limitations of it? That's what I'm worried about.
Ooh, I have not, but then again, I haven't really delved into it. I'll leave that to our YouTube community, folks. If you have heard of any limitations, let me know. Um, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as like a business user, if I started using a data flow, but I couldn't update it, then I'll have to live with that, right? If it's somebody else in IT or somebody who manages it and updates and publishes it, and I want this one change, but I guess you can still connect to a data flow and then still do your own transformation. So I think it's okay. So yeah, I can't think of anything, but maybe there's something there.
Okay, I'll start playing around with it and then let's see what happens for now.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, Raz is saying data flows is kind of the data query in the cloud. It may not replace the data warehouse, but it works like that. Cool. All right. Terrific. All right, folks. So I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see anything else on YouTube. So let's call it day to day. We're gonna join. Let's see. So of course, what I announced at the beginning of the call that the pro level enrollment is opening on Monday for this. So this is for folks who are in the program and want to continue that journey. Right. So and you've heard the whole thing by now, right? I mean, this is something that I haven't kind of served well, but we're pretty focused and excited about this, and I'm really excited about, you know, getting together new members and then going on a journey kind of with them as to like what content do we focus on. There's already quite a bit of content in there, but of course, I mean, is there a limit to learning Power BI? There isn't. We still want to be selective though of what we add in there and what we add first, but that's where I'm not going to try to guess that myself, or at least we would work on that collaboratively. We want to work with the pro level members to figure out that, okay, what topics make sense. We do have some exciting ideas. One idea in there is to, of course, pack it full of real world kind of exercises and challenges, just so you can, like, okay, cool, I've got the concepts, and then like I just want to work through like 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever, right? I mean, examples, and we will build it over time. And to give you that. And the other idea that we have is what we call industry specific projects. And sometimes I talk to people and they're like, "Ooh, Avi, I mean, checked out your course, but I don't work with sales data." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just using that AdventureWorks data, and yes, it is sales and budget and this that, but I'm just using that to teach, to demonstrate my concepts, and they apply to any other data set. They apply to HR, they apply to marketing, anything else you can think of, supply chain, ERP, whatever your data set or data structure is. But still, it would be nice if we built something which was looking at HR, which was looking at education data, which was, I don't know, pulling QuickBooks data and doing something with it, or something else, right? Marketing. And just do have an end-to-end example of, hey, how do we, here's this data set, here's what we did kind of step by step, here's the end result, all of that. So, and of course, I definitely need kind of some help there. I want to almost partner up with kind of the program members, like, I don't know, maybe if you get an HR expert in there, or somebody who's focused on HR, say, hey, let's like kind of tag team for this month and build this example, and it's going to be there, of course, for them, but also for the rest of the community. So that's opening then. And what else is coming up for our Power BI? So next 2 weeks are going to be super duper exciting. So our Pro Plus group. So these are the folks who are in our Six Figures Power BI Consultant program, and you met quite a few of them. They're all pretty amazing, and they have been going through this, what we call the Real Power BI project. They have been matched with projects from all over the world, and guys, I'll admit it didn't quite go as planned, and were there hiccups? Sure, but I think most have been really resourceful and really kind of innovative and trying to get over the roadblocks, over the challenges, and kind of make the best out of it. So almost everybody has made progress in the one way or another in spite of the challenges. And frankly, I mean, I joke with my students that that's why we call it Real Power BI, because that's what happens in the real world too, right? I mean, once you really go out and become a consultant, it almost never goes according to plan, right? I mean, there's always something that's like, oh, well, you know, we didn't expect this, and da da da. So in a way, that's I'm glad I'm giving them like a true experience there. So, but yeah, they made great progress there, and they're going to be presenting their projects in next 2 weeks. So next 2 weeks. So next Friday is going to be the Real Power BI presentation. So the last one we did, and you can find the recording on that, that was pretty amazing. And guys, I mean, this is not going to be like a presentation or conference. Frankly, I don't really like that aspect of conferences, because everybody, when they step up on the stage, they feel obligated that they have to act and be and behave like an expert. Like, oh yeah, I got everything buttoned down. But guys, real life is not like that. So if you watch the last one, which was earlier this year, man, it was like raw, and you know, some people came on and they had this PowerPoint slide, and some people came on and didn't have a model, didn't have a PowerPoint slide, and we just talked, and we talked about how the project couldn't take off because of these reasons. So yeah, it's going to be like 100% authentic, but that would give you a taste of. They will basically take you through the journey, and each one has been on this adventure, and so you're going to get to be a part of that. So that's we're lining it up for next 2 weeks, and yeah, we're excited about that. Oh, and if you haven't noticed, anybody who's hung out, found me on YouTube has probably found Kerbal as well, Ruth Pozuelo. And of course, so she is planned to come on our channel on November 22nd. And I'm just glad to have her here. Frankly, when I invited her, I'm like, I don't care what you talk about, as long as you're there, right? That's going to be awesome. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should really, roll out the red carpet for the guys in the cube as well. I mean, aren't they amazing, right? So, mind-blowing stuff. And yeah, they're helping so much for the community. Of course, I love that aspect about Power BI. There's so much emphasis on the community in general, and I of course try to do my part by creating communities for our programs as well. And I do think that this is a different flavor. So there are lots of kind of free communities out there, but I do feel that somehow kind of a paid program, the community, the flavor is very different. For one, everyone is anchored with the same kind of philosophy that I talk about, right? I mean, the model and the relationships and DAX and stuff like that, right? I mean, Lego blocks, all of that. So it's not like a random set of people. They all have that common knowledge that binds them together. But also, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Charles and I. So Charles, you heard him last week, and Charles, by the way, was sharing with me. So if you scroll all the way down, folks, by the way, you can find replays. So Charles talked about, I want to change the title because we went so broad, and it was really ended up being about how to basically start and grow your consulting business, right? And of course, This really resonated with a lot of audience. For one, because Charles was completely vulnerable. And guys, I know growing up, man, I was like a crybaby, and that was a hard thing in India. For one, dang it, I don't like the label crybaby, but I'm using it on myself. So yeah, it was hard. I mean, I would cry, and of course, the first thing that I would hear was like, why are you crying like a girl, and all that stuff. And man, it was not fun. But I've grown comfortable with that, and of course, man, I mean, I'm kudos to people who champion that stuff. So, Bene Brown with her TED Talk, the and so I have had this line for a long time, where I say your weaknesses are your strengths and your strengths are your weaknesses, man. And I think this goes way deep. I get surprised myself by how deep this line is. I just struck on it. And yeah, so what she talks about the power of vulnerability, right? So yeah, so yeah, he was completely vulnerable and authentic. He talked about, funnily enough, I mean, he always talks about fear of public speaking, and I always joke with him like, Charles, you know that nobody believes you, right? Because he's a really good speaker, and so yeah, so that was a pretty good session, and yeah, yeah, so that was great. So what else? Well, I guess that's it. So yeah, that's all is coming up for our future episodes. And we're also, so of course, I'm going to be focused a little bit on working with our pro members to create that content. But on our YouTube channel, the next set of content we're planning is like not directly Power BI. And again, sometimes I feel hesitant about doing topics like this because of my own blocks. I'm like, should I really talk about this? Does anybody really care about this? But we're thinking about focusing a little bit on like what are the best ways to find a Power BI job. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions out there. I was just talking to one of our kind of pro plus members here, and he talked about, oh yeah, I know the first thing that they look for is skill, and that's not true. You may think that's true, it may seem to be true, but it is actually not true, right? So yeah, so we talked about that, and I shared some stories and tried to convince him that, dude, yeah, skills is not it. A skill's not valuable. I'm not saying that, but that's not the number one thing that's gonna get you that job or get you that interview, even, right? So it is something else. So yeah, so things like that, and we might focus on that a little bit, see how it's received by the community. We always want to be kind of serving you guys, and see how that goes. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Until then, power on.